I'll check with you. Is everything looking good?
Yeah, everything's looking good. I'm not the best at these either, but this is the first time I've been a co-host, and I have like this soundboard thing. I'm definitely gonna try and use at one point. I remember Astro always used to do the soundboard on her spaces that she would co-host, and it was awesome. So I'm
Well,
gonna
I
test some of
know
them out.
I know there's some people out there who like to use voice modulators to mask their real voice, so I'm not sure if that's an option. I actually thought about doing that as a little tongue-in-cheek nod to the individual from Turtle Boy War Room who liked to do that to me. But I'm gonna get started, and I have zero idea as to the technology. And I would just simply say to those listening, you know, please give me some grace and patience as I go on my valid truth journey. So, I love it. I love it. Okay. Oh, I appreciate. Thank you very much, Meredith. In a matter of months, you have become a very dear friend of mine. So I appreciate all of your support today. And for those of you who are trying to enjoy their Saturday afternoon, I hope you continue to do that. Um, you know, I'm not looking to interrupt anyone's Saturday, but was a convenient time for me. And I thought now's a good time to start maybe dispelling some of the misinformation out there. I've kind of stayed quiet for a long time. Frankly, for a very long time. And when I was doing that, um, wait, can you? I just want to make sure you can still hear. Yes, you can.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
we can hear you. And I just wanted to quickly say thank you too for your friendship over the last few months has meant more to me than you know. And
Um,
that's one of the good things that has come out of all this chaos and turmoil in my life is just seeing who the real friends are in all this.
oh,
So I
well, I
appreciate you.
thank you. I appreciate you. And, this probably gives me a good opportunity as a little segue. One of the reasons why some of what I think has been going on with me on X happened, it really seemed to take a notable shift in the fall of 2025, shortly after I had identified an individual as being one of more than one involved in some online trolling, both on X and on YouTube of me. And that individual
Nan, I think you might be muted. All right, I know we're both muted. Nan's just setting up her phone, so it should be back up and running in a second. Thank you for everybody who's texted me saying we're muted. We know it should be up in just a second.
Come on. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. I apologize, everyone. Um, Welcome back. And truth be told, I had actually set one up by accident the other day when I was tooling around with the app, and I've been trying for days to delete it, the original one, which is this one. So I'm glad I never deleted it. So I don't know what happened on the last one. I don't know if it's glitching or it's my Wi Fi, which I have pretty good Wi Fi, but hopefully that doesn't happen again. So thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you again to Meredith for being here. And I'm going to just go back to where I was from the original spaces. So, Meredith, if you wouldn't mind, because I'm definitely not looking at the chat, I please let me know if I mute or I go quiet, any of the like. So, anyway, when I identified Auntie Deb, Jimmy, as being one of the individuals, one of more than one individuals kind of trolling me online, both on X and on YouTube back in the fall, that's when I saw a shift. And I saw a shift in the way I was being treated by not only Jimmy, but others who were aligned with, the other side of what I would characterize as a divide in the Free Karen Reed community. And then there was, just a cascade of people who became very outspoken in terms of whether they were insults or just online antagonism, all of which I can take. I don't really care about that stuff, but that's when I saw a notable shift. That's when I saw people like Will the Glarer, El Hafel on X currently. I think he's on his 11th or 12th Twitter handle. Then he went from being quiet as to me to being quite vocal as to me. So, despite what was posited to me a couple of weeks ago, as to, well, do you think there was a shift in how people treated you after Will revealed some truths about you? No, that's not what the shift was. The shift in how I was being treated online was after I identified Jimmy. So I'm going to stick on Jimmy for a moment, and I'm sure his name will come up multiple times throughout this spaces. As far as he's concerned, I just wanted to address the issue of my statement, which is my opinion that I put on X a few months ago, and I stand by today, which is it's my opinion that he should not be permitted to be around children. And once I put that in writing, I was immediately met with accusations that I somehow am a homophobe and or was calling him a PDF. Neither of which are true, neither of which were even remotely meant to be implied by my statement, which was my opinion, and I have a First Amendment right to voice that opinion. In fact, to be honest, when I said or wrote those words that he should not be around children, I was actually surprised that people thought, oh, this is a homophobic slur, or, you're calling him a PDF. In fact, he was saying that, by the way. He was stating that I was somehow taking jabs at his sexuality and or making accusations about whether or not he's a PDF. That is not true. First off, I don't believe that he is. So, how if I don't believe that he is, why would I even remotely imply it? What I meant was that a man, an adult who is online trolling a woman repeatedly and incessantly for months and months on X and on YouTube when she is live streaming legal content voluntarily at her own choice, without remuneration, without any agenda. And I'll get to that at some point during this spaces, but repeated trolling, whether it was about her looks, her sexuality, when the last time she had dick was, her skin folds, the way her makeup looks, the way her hair looks. And sorry to dispel rumors, it's all my real hair, folks. And I was saying briefly on a spaces last evening, or oh no, excuse me, I was saying on the Young Jerks last evening, I was saying, God, sometimes I wish I could wear a wig, or I did wear a wig, because the amount of time I put into styling my hair, it kind of sucks. So this individual, Jimmy Auntie Deb, who has gone out of his way to troll me, to insult me, to try to distract me while I am live streaming, to try to grab my attention in the chat. So instead of me focusing on what I was saying live, he meant to distract me or insult me or to inspire others to do the same under handles that were not him. Because to use his own words, he can't do this under his name. He can't do this under his handle because that carries too much weight. So he was doing it very surreptitiously, to have an impact either on me directly or my reputation. So that is the type of individual who, in my opinion, should not be around children. So I want to dispel that rumor right now. And I want to be very clear, I do not believe in any way that he is a PDF, and I am in no way a homophobe. Um, in addition, as it relates to Jimmy, there's a few things I want to talk about. First, as far as the online trolling was concerned, and still is, I take personal issue with the fact that once he became emboldened after I identified him specifically, to then use his name and his handle, which carries a lot of weight, to then take overtures to tag my family members on X and to post where I live, the town I live, to indicate that he was going to put a billboard up in my town, implying, in fact, I think he stated that, and I'm not sure, so I want to be very clear, but the implication was that he was going to put a billboard up in my town, somehow indicating that I'm not a good person or not a good lawyer. Now, I'm asking a rhetorical question. Do any of you think that that's appropriate online behavior? And do you think it's appropriate for someone whose name carries that much weight to be writing those things with a large following? And do you think that type of person should be around children? So I don't need answers. I'm not looking at the chat. And frankly, to all of you, I don't care what you write in the chat. I don't care if there are trolls saying bad things. I'm going to be making a specific point later of not looking at the chat. So I did want to mention that. I would also like to say that Jimmy went months, and to this day, months and months on his YouTube channel, obsessively and moronically trolling me, insulting me, writing songs and albums about me, having graphics made about me, making me look like a sea hag or what have you. I don't care about any of it. And please, everybody, dispel the notion that if I'm talking about it now, obviously I do care. No, what I'm doing is going on my valid truth journey. I'm telling my side of the story. But for someone to be going that far along to promote and publish and discuss me to his audience in a disparaging way, I think it's really inappropriate. And when things arose and really reached a fever pitch in February of 2026, maybe some of you know this, but I, in the course of listening to another Spaces, had said, I was sitting there and I was typing into the Spaces. I was listening to it while at a meeting, and I saw that, whoever was hosting the Spaces, I think it was Sparkly Rabbit, who I will discuss later, was trying to discuss the issue of, why Jimmy was incessantly talking about me. And Jimmy, of course, in his unpreventable and frankly psychotic, in my opinion, way, decided to go into that chat and start talking shit. I decided that I would start writing in the chat and dispelling some of the rumors. And finally, I said on February 10th, 2026, I said, Jimmy, I will call you after this meeting. And I did. And I called him that evening. And I've posted receipts for what transpired after that phone call. But I called him. And I called him. And this was after months after I identified him publicly, which I'm sure caused him some embarrassment. But we spoke for about half an hour when I was driving home from the meeting. We had what I would have characterized, and I did characterize to others as a positive conversation where two people finally took an online beef that hadn't been discussed sooner and addressed each other one on one. And during that call, there were apologies made. And conveniently, when Jimmy tells the story, Nan apologized to Jimmy. What Jimmy doesn't reveal, because it's really not good for business, is that he apologized first. And that is not why I apologized to him. I'm not the type of person who will say sorry just because someone says they're sorry to me. It was what I would call a mutual and reciprocal apology. And I took it seriously. And it appears that he has not and did not. But we apologized to one another and we had a discussion. We had a discussion about my son and my motivations behind why I chose to post video vignettes of my son that my son filmed and wanted to film. My son was 10 when those little vignettes started. My son is a budding influencer and wants to be a journalist, an influencer, someone who's uses an online platform to either educate or to entertain people. But those were all coming from my son, who listens to his mom pretty much on a daily basis talk about these cases and these issues. So we talked about my son, and I explained to him the purpose, the motivations behind those vignettes and why I posted them. And he indicated to me that, my son, who I won't name during this stream, but his name is amazing. I love it. He's fiery like his mother. But my son, he said, my son is a great kid, seems like a great kid. And we also indicated during that call on his request that the next time I was planning to be up in New England, which was about 2 to 3 weeks later, he asked if I would, now that we had reconciled, if I would be interested in meeting up with him to do a duet, a singing duet in his car and to film it and to put it out there on social media to not only show the public and audiences that even we could make amends and laugh at ourselves. Okay. That was his idea. I agreed. I thought it was interesting. I thought it would be fun. I have a singing background, I have a musical background. So I agreed to that. And without hesitation, where we left off during that call, and there was more to the call, but nothing really of substantive value for the Spaces. But where we left off with the call was that I was going to hear from him because he was going to have, kick around some ideas for that duet and some of the logistics for how to film it and when to meet up, etc. So I gave him the dates I would be up, and I never heard back from him. And I After I heard from some people I told about the call that I would I felt positive about it, but these individuals said, "No, I don't trust it. Don't don't assume that went the way it went, and be careful. Put your guard up." Well, sure enough, within a matter of weeks after not hearing from him, he had certainly changed his tune and was deciding to shit all over me again publicly. One of the things that, going back to the night of that call on February 10th, where we also left off, we exchanged a series of text messages, and I've put them up on my X for people to look at. That is a transparent view of the last communications between us. And those were initiated by him. He was excited to go public that evening and to tell people good talk and let people buzz about it dramatically. And, I exchanged a picture of me and my son. We just exchanged a few words. They're on my profile. You can look. And that was that, but he was very excited about the public optic of us talking and what people would say about it. And he was so excited. He was so, so glad that we spoke. So I find that particularly disturbing. And yes, since then, an album has come out. And let me be very clear, I don't care that he chooses to express himself dramatically with albums and songs and pictures and Garbage Pail Kids and all of the like and the nicknames, the Nanuals, the Namthraxes, the Cuckernanials, the Nanageddons, whatever those little nicknames are. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but words will never hurt you. I feel that way. Okay. So I don't care, but it's contagious and it spreads. And I see it spread. I see it spread even to one of the more prominent individuals in the Free Karen Reed or post Free Karen Reed community. So I do believe that there's some serious issues going on with him. I think it's disturbing that he goes this route, but I will say this: he has the right to express himself how he wants. He has the right to publish and to discuss on his platform, whether it's X or YouTube, what he wants. What I will say is that I too have the right to express myself in the manner in which I want. And if that meant that I chose months ago to post vignettes of my son and I driving, talking about issues, whatever those were, that I didn't force him to film, that I didn't make him perform like a performing monkey, where he and I have a relationship with each other, and I foster his goals and dreams and interests. And I warn him about the trials and tribulations and risks and pitfalls of social media. That's parenting. That's good mothering. And to have my mothering insulted, to have my motivations insulted, to be repeatedly referred to in disparaging ways, including down to my body parts and my vagina and my sexuality, I find that really disturbing and honestly psychotic. So I would like it to stop. It's not going to stop. But what I would say is find something else to focus on. Don't make your veiled threats. Don't roll your eyes. I do, because it was months and months of facing it myself. So I cannot make excuses for how I react to external forces that I face. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. But I'm simply looking for people to open their eyes. This by no means is me saying I'm going to be better. No, I'm finally just standing up for myself. Um, in addition, let's talk about a couple of quick housekeeping items. One, I don't know if I'm going to let people come in and speak. I don't have to. I don't know if I want to. I was on a spaces 2 weeks ago where I exhibited no restraints in allowing that host who did not know I was ever going to come up and speak. I never exercised any restraints on letting her, uh, you know, edit or remove or mute any speakers who were coming at me, but I didn't resist any questions that were raised to me. So during this spaces, I don't have to. I don't have to let you up and speak, and I don't know if I will, whether it's good people, bad people, or anywhere amidst the whole spectrum of it. In addition, I would mention to you all that clearly I'm not great at technology. So, to the extent that the first space has failed, I'm still learning. And I don't know if I would make a pattern and practice of this, but it's my opportunity to dispel some misinformation. For those who I imagine are hate listening now, I would say to you, you don't have to. You can choose to ignore me, but I'm not going away. The cancel culture that's going on within the community, which I want to remind everyone is a small community. Like everyone's whose algorithms seem to include everything, Karen Reed and everything, Aiden Carney, all of this. It actually extends so far beyond that, but we all kind of populate our algorithms in such a way that we think this everything. Trust me, go on to your ex and start looking at music, start looking at beach scenes, look at anything else, look at celebrity pop culture. You'll see very quickly in a matter of time that things shift in your algorithm. And I would encourage anyone to do that. I've done that, and I've been happy to see a lot of different things pop into my feed, which is beyond what is going on now within this community. All right. So we've talked about my donations. We've talked about online whatever what was going on X and on YouTube. And yes, there were other individuals, and there still are, who come at me while I'm live streaming and say things. It's no big deal. I don't care. I did care. I used to care back in the spring of 2025, even a little bit into the summer of 2025. I don't care anymore. So, and I don't care when more prominent voices say a lot of shit about me. But what I can tell you is, um, some creators who have taken to their online platforms on YouTube and have commented recklessly, I might add, about me, my appearance, my sexuality, my sexual partners. I think that's really irresponsible to do that. Am I threatening to sue them? No, I'm not threatening to sue anybody. I hear that often. I'm not threatening to sue anybody. I think if you garner a lot of followers and you build a YouTube platform, never which I aspired to do. And on that point, I created the optic of starting a YouTube channel last year as a tongue-in-cheek jab at some people. I don't have the time or the inclination to nurture a YouTube channel. And I don't want to. I like if I get asked to be a guest and I feel like it's a topic I could talk about, sure. I'd be happy to do that. But I don't care if I never get an invite again from anyone, and that includes people I care about, or anyone in the future who asks me, like, or they don't. I just don't care. But I really don't ever envision having a YouTube presence beyond being a guest. I really enjoy being in the chats. And I will tell you, being in chats, I don't like seeing negativity as to anybody, whether it's hostile grounds where sometimes I will go lurk, which is not often. And a special thank you to people who clip things and put it on X. You spare me the misery of having to listen to some of the garbled, recycled, uninspired content that's out there right now amidst really one side of this community, which isn't a community anymore. But the people who spend the time to go through and listen and summarize it and talk about it on spaces or clip it, read the transcripts, thank you, because I don't have a tolerance level to endure it myself. And I would ask all of you, um, who agree with me, do you really have the time to do that? Do you think it's a good use of these creators' time to spend their time going into old members only or to create their own members only to talk shit, nothing but talking shit about people? I think it's very sad. And I think that, someone right before this spaces said to me, why, what's the word, what's the adjective you would use to describe that, the people who are doing all this stuff? And I said, I don't know. I find it sad and funny. I just find it funny, and not in a ha ha humorous way. I find it really just funny that there's a population of people out there who would rather not use their channel to create something and just use their channel to tear it down. But to the creators, and I don't even like to use that word to describe this certain population I'm referring to, but to the YouTube hosts who choose to go to their platforms and talk about who they think I'm sleeping with, who I slept with, what I look like, how I dressed on a particular evening, all of the like, who speculate about personal aspects of my personal life and my motherhood, who use my son, who I have opted to post the videos that he had filmed because it was a way of not only expressing myself, which I have every right to do, and it's really no different than some choosing different ways to do that themselves. I have every right to do that. My son wanted me to do that as well as he grows and starts to spread his wings about what interests him. But I find that it's really hurtful and uninformed and reckless for YouTube hosts to be saying such disparaging things like that, including insulting my motherhood. And again, I'm not envisioning legal recourse here. I'm not sitting here saying, woe is me. I'm commenting on you and your behavior. So I would love to see that stop. If I ever did, and I'm not going to, but if I ever did have a channel, I wouldn't take to it to do that. I wouldn't sit in my car or sit in my basement or my kitchen or wherever and just talk shit for hours and hours and hours about people. Find something new, exciting, find and generate original content and stop shitting on the people who do that very thing. The good creators that I like to watch, and many people who are probably listening to this spaces also like to watch. Stop drawing lines and saying you're either with us or you're with them. Stop this cancel culture of behavior where it's if they don't support you, the creators who are actually creating, then they're the enemies. Stop pointing to views and clicks and dwindling audiences in your minds because that makes you feel better about yourselves. Because I can assure you, talking to some of these individuals, they don't care. They don't care what you think, and they're still here and they're not going anywhere either. So I want to move on to a couple of more topics. Um, First, want to mention that there's a subject matter I'm not going to be talking about today. And I know that's been swirled around a bit. So, for anyone who has logged in to hear me talk about any particular individual, um, I'm not going to do that. So, I will simply say the following things while not talking about that individual. I have never, and actually cannot believe I have to say this, I have never engaged in any sexual contact with Tom CPU, with whoever is quote unquote John Barron, with James Jackson, with JFK, or anyone else. I don't find that to be, I find it very bothersome that I have to say that. And I'm going to reference that there's one prominent YouTube creator who just reads a chat or gets a text and says, well, apparently Nan Gallagher's sleeping with James Jackson right now. I am not. And James Jackson has confirmed publicly that that never happened. I have had, and when I say I haven't slept with, there's been no contact, nothing. So the fact that I have to say this is really offensive to me. But please imagine that I was your wife, your daughter, your mother, whatever, your sister. The fact that I feel I come up and have to clear up who I've slept with or had relations with, that's crazy to me. Also, I won't be discussing that a particular individual, but I will say this: there's a presence on X and on YouTube who goes by the name Sparkly Rabbit, and I've not been quiet online recently about my views as to her. Um, I will say this: Sparkly Rabbit, I echo what I tweeted the other day as to you, which is you were reckless in allowing an individual to be a guest on your spaces in recent weeks. And by doing that, and then frankly, unequivocally, it's factual, it's not an opinion. You fell asleep. I speculate, and it is my opinion that you were intoxicated, but that's my opinion. That based on my observations, but you allowed someone on your spaces and allowed him to be gaslit by a bunch of individuals. Um, did you need,
Can I just weigh in quickly on Sparkly? I'm sorry. I was listening to the other stuff, but I was like
please?
cleaning before and it was really loud, so I couldn't talk. Like, but just the fact that she's now playing victim with this Jen Altman stuff is just wild. I mean, in the last week alone, she's called Jen Altman's work. When I was like last on Twitter, she said she wanted to find out my new employer so she could call them. And then she platforms Barry and is like egging him on all week, but she's the victim somehow. Like, spare me. The victim for what did Jen do? I think she just messaged her sister-in-law or her daughter-in-law or something. I mean, honestly, I would be embarrassed if it's like when it's just grandma. They need to take the YouTube away from grandma. Like it's just getting it's getting a little
Yeah,
much with the dancing and the sex and then the hitting on. Like I think I forget which one of them, one of the grifters she was hitting on yesterday or something. It's just it's getting I would be embarrassed if this was my mother on YouTube. It would be like my
yeah.
brother and I would be staging an intervention if this was my mom acting like this online.
I know, and I honestly, I don't. And by the way, this is an open invitation, Meredith, because I'm not even looking at any of what's going on technologically. You can feel free to interject at any time with your comments or observations. I think there's, my opinion, there's some problems there. But I don't make a point of listening to her again. Thank you to people who clip this stuff. You McDonald it for me because I get little sound bites and clips, and I really like that. So, you know, I as my comments as to her are really just limited to, besides the fact that she appears to have quote unquote flipped, which I won't really comment on. I think that's her right if she wishes to do that. I take umbrage with the fact that she recklessly let someone who she knew nothing about, in an effort to try to explore issues, put me in a title of one of her spaces. Don't ever do that again, Sparkly Rabbit. Don't make me your content. But by doing that, she gaslit or allowed to be gaslit an individual who I'm not going to discuss today. And I will leave it at that. I could say infinitely more. And no one should be taking away from the fact that I'm not saying more, that there's any veracity to what is out there concerning that individual. But to those who have been following along and did choose to egg an individual on or to make light of it or to consider it a joke, whether it involved me, whether it involved Tom CPU, whether it involved Jason Broyles, aka not Haley Walbrecht. I think that's really offensive and stupid on your part. I don't know why you would do that. To the point where this week I posted something which was, kind of hard to write, but I put it out there that I have real feelings about people who do that, who allow that type of scenario to breed and foster and to egg someone on like that when you don't know the whole story, you don't know both sides, and to just let drama and excitement and laughs feed you when you have no idea and you will not know the truth of what has happened. It's just bothersome to me. So I would make a request that people understand that there is another side to any story that's out there. And, my personal safety and that of my children and my family, that matters to me. It should matter to you. It should matter to you. So I'm going to step off of that issue. Let's talk about some other issues here. As far as let's talk about Will, the glare. Like I said earlier, things
Oh, sorry.
started.
So he's streaming this, by the way. Our favorite alleged woman and child abuser, Will Dentally Challenged Glare, is streaming this, and I hope he's streaming this part too.
Oh,
But
that's great. So you guys can make content of it. I don't care if, a special note to Will. Um, what I'm going to be saying is true, but you'll laugh and you'll look at your camera in your little apartment that you're so proud to have, that you finally achieved in life at 50 years old. You're just a few months older than me, and you finally got an apartment that's a real apartment. Good for you. I have to say it's a real milestone in life, and there's no family around you to fill that. So I feel sorry for you. I feel sorry that you feel that you need to sit in your little apartment in an undisclosed location when you're really afraid to leave your little apartment because you don't want people to find out where you live, even though maybe they have already. And you're afraid of having anyone spot you. Funny story, back in the day, in the good old days, when Will was communicating with me and putting me on his show, which I'll get to in a short while, there was a morning when I don't know where he was coming back from, but he reached out to me and he was in a complete panic. And he said, I was just spotted by someone. Somebody just identified me when I was walking up the street or up the road, wherever it was. And he was completely panicked that he had been spotted. Really? You're panicked that someone identified you in your small little podunk town in Tennessee because someone recognized who you were. What are you hiding from? What are you hiding from? The fact that someone, you build your platform, you work to build that platform, and someone identified you in a pickup truck and they kind of shouted out your name and you were freaked. Why is that? So that was one morning. There was another morning when
did that
Will.
really happen though? Did that really happen? I mean, come on, like that's just like the sense of self importance this dude has. Like,
Oh,
I
that
mean,
really.
we see it with the leader, how like his inflated sense of self importance, but has it now trickled down to some like this Will like Dentally Challenged Glare who's like weirdly obsessed with your body and your sex life too? Another like old crusty dude in his 50s who's just like obsessed with you. It's fucking weird. It's weird.
Well, that's a great question, Meredith, but I have to say it had to have really happened because why would he it couldn't have been more than 6 or 7 a.m. in the morning. Why would he be freaked out negatively that someone identified him? I can't believe it wasn't true because he was traumatized. So, I talked him down off the ledge. There were some back and forths about that, and it's
I don't
okay.
know. He clearly has mental health issues. Was probably just hallucinating. I mean, you've read the police reports, the fake
Yeah.
suicide threats and all of it. Like he has serious mental health issues, this guy.
Oh, I agree. I agree. I remember thinking at the time, and again, I'm getting to know people back in the spring of 2025. I'm like, why would someone care if I was spotted on the street? I don't get it. So I do believe that really did happen. Now it's all about, oh, Boston loves me, and I'm identified, and I matter. Okay, that's fine. But let's talk about how you really feel about walking through your town or your new town, and if someone identified you. In fact, you know going by my observation, when it was implied that maybe you had been spotted and your location was known, by other content creators who may have had a legitimate beef with you, um, you panicked, and not quietly so, and not briefly. You panicked, and suddenly you feel threatened and have to take to the need to have behind a paywall members onlys and to try to start to monetize drama and pettiness. And you say very hypocritically and illogically, in my opinion, well, I know my audience, they don't want the drama, but for those who do, I'm going to put the petty behind a paywall, and you can pay for the petty. You can pay me. You know what? I'm going to start it as a regular stream. And then when we're about to get petty, I'm going to flip over right when your appetite is wet. And I want you to want to buy that membership, even just for a month, just so you can hear me talk shit about people. Okay, well, okay, I see you. And I don't think I'm alone. So when we consider the source and the optics, and it's very, very transparent. It's not just transparent to me, it's transparent to you, Will. You know what you're doing. And frankly, I think if you had any regret, you're probably saying to yourself, I should have done this much sooner. I should have, as my memberships, or excuse me, my subscriber numbers aren't growing, since Karen Reed, because that's the wagon to which you've hitched yourself and up securely up Turtle Boy's ass, if I might add. As that is really just a limited amount of growth, then you had to find a way to monetize and make more money for yourself. So why not put things behind a paywall? But you did panic. You panicked when it was abundantly clear that people knew where you were taking Clubber every day for a walk and not picking up your dog's shit, by the way. That's a public health hazard, and most towns have ordinances that talk about that. So I do hope that you put doggy poopy bags on your Amazon wish list, um, because it matters. You should be cleaning up after the dog that you love so much, that you cling to, because you, in my opinion, won't cling to your children who you fled from and who you have no relationship with. I'll reserve comment on whether or not there's a history or pattern of any physical abuse with your children in the past. That's not my place to comment on it, but how dare you comment on my parenting when I'm engaged with my children every single day.
All
And
of these people who are commenting on like your parenting like this, they all have their own issues. I mean, we've seen like the videos of people whose kids don't even want to go to their house and they're just like leaving them in front of a computer all day. Like it's the people who are the worst parents here. Like Will, who doesn't have custody, had never had custody of either of his kids. It's documented history of violence against children are the ones, it's always those ones who are thinking they should be commenting on your parenting. And it's fucking
Exactly.
weird. People who are now daily keep talking about your son. It's fucking weird.
It
Like
is.
his obsession with kids now, like a certain person's obsession with kids. It's fucking weird. It's fucking creepy. Focus on your own kids. Focus on your daughter not hating you.
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
fucking weird.
I agree with that, and before I forget, that just and I know there's things I will forget, but I think just to even read last night that there was another, content creator who has been absolutely, harassing for months, Jennifer Altman, harassing her. And Jennifer, kudos to you, for barking back and standing your ground. I don't care what people think about you. And frankly, I know if you're listening, you would agree that you and I, we haven't had we're not friends. We haven't had a smooth history. There's been, I'm sure, a rocky road. You would agree with us. But kudos to you for standing up for yourself and handling incessant commentary, inappropriate commentary from this content creator, um, who I'll talk about in a few minutes. But to know that that content creator was lurking in your son's social media and liked, whether it was intentionally or accidentally, at least one of his photographs on his social media, that's disgusting behavior. That's disgusting behavior. So, yeah, did I put my kid out on X, um, for the reasons I've already discussed? I sure did. Does that mean that it rings the dinner bell for people to comment on me or him, my parenting, my son's appearance, all of the above? And it's mostly me. I understand that. Um, Gosh, there's a trending hashtag with his name, and I'm getting stupid, weak comments from Aiden. Why did you break your son's heart? Why did you stop him from streaming the Daily Blaze? Like, come on, Aiden. Like, find something else to focus on. If you don't see that it is more important for you right now to focus on the legal challenges and financial ones that you're facing, I can't convince you otherwise, and it's not my job to, but you should be convinced of that yourself. So I would simply say, and I'm sure there's negative things in the chat, and I can assure you, I'm never going to read them. So for any of you who think you're going to be hurting my feelings, I don't care what you think. I don't care what you have to say. I simply am speaking my truth here. Now back to Will. Um,
Yeah, no, the comments aren't that bad. It's the same. It's the same two people. It's the same, and they're and like the point. It's a fair point. Oh, there are 1,000 people who pay to watch Will do his stupid petty streams, but it's like it's the same 1,000 people that subscribe to the other person who just makes his channel about hating people. And it's like these people. It's like if that's what makes you happy and entertained is just listening to you people like hate other people, then that says more about you about them than you. And it's just you look it's like just looking at some of these people, like some of these people's audiences, it just makes you feel like so much better and like less like affected by any of this. I mean, these are just you look at what they look like, and I don't like to go at people's looks, but you look at what they look like, their lives. Like most of them don't have jobs. They're on some kind of government aid. They don't leave their house. They're just like, why do you care what any of these people think? Like I'm not going to name any of the
mhm.
accounts, but it's like the same handful of accounts over and over again. The same ones who will be commenting here, hate, and then they'll be in Will's paying for his stream, and then they'll be on in the Turtle Club. It's just like these are just gross, low, disgusting people. Like they don't have jobs like us. They don't have lives. And yes, I do have a new job, despite people wanting to say I don't. You'll never find out where it is, and I bet that kills you that you can't try and harass them like you did my last place, and it's a significant raise and my life is better because nobody gives a fuck about you losers. They
Uh,
don't. Sorry.
well, I think I'm going to ask a question with right now to the people who are part of that whatever, 1,000 people, whatever that population of people who pay for those memberships are. Let me ask a question, and I'm not going to just ask it to them. I'm going to just throw it out in the universe. Let's assume that Turtle Boy is going live at 9 o'clock p.m. on a Saturday night. And let's assume Will is going live at 9 o'clock p.m. on a Saturday night. Who do you think they're going to watch? If you both think that your audiences are going to, and it really is addressed to Will, because, Aiden has, and I was part of it. Like, Aiden has a robust audience. I don't fault him for that. I think what he has built is something that he can choose to be proud of. But if anyone thinks that two different independent audiences of viewers are going to simultaneously be watching Aiden and Will at the same time, you're wrong. So there is definite redundancy there. And that really says it all. I mean, think about what I just said, that Will, your audience is not authentic. Your audience are turtle riders. If you're both going at the same time, they're going to be watching Aiden. And I know deep down, when you go to bed at night, if you ever go to bed at night, I question that. I ask out loud, like, don't you think that bothers you? You know it does. You know you're inherently a shitbag, to use your own words. And I posted your screenshots of our communication that you sent me back in October, where you apologized to me for writing disparaging things about me. And this was before any dog whistle was blown. And you had put something out on Facebook, and you had said, she's seeking clout, and that was the first thing negatively you put out there in writing about me in October of 2025. And that was, think about where that fell in the timeline, folks. And you put something out there, and I wrote back on your post on Facebook, and I said, really, Will? And within minutes you texted me and you apologized. And all I had said was like, really? And you apologized. And I put your screenshots are right on my X page, where you apologized for doing that and not really thinking it, and referring to yourself as a shitbag, and referring to yourself as, this community is not really, and I don't remember, but it really wasn't what you thought you were becoming a part of, and you helped to build. So, thank you for helping to build this community. It would be nothing without you. But I know it bothers you that your audience is beholden to you because of Aiden. And if I were you, I would take that to heart. And you frankly should stay on his good side, because I can tell you, not being on his good side has its challenges, and that would be very unfortunate for you. But as far as Will is concerned, and I think it's pretty clear what I'm trying to say here, a dog whistle was blown. And also, I identified Jimmy publicly in the fall, as I said before, as being involved in online trolling of me. And now it's okay. It's okay for people who are more prominent to be more vocal negatively about me. Um, and a few more points about Will, especially because he appears to be streaming this. Will, no, I didn't beg you to be a featured guest on your show. What was happening was the following. Let me describe my quote unquote relationship with him last spring. Once I entered the scene, and a lot of different creators were asking me to guest on their show, which I was happy to do. I was enjoying it. It's something I enjoy doing. That there's nothing wrong with that. And I was going on all different creators' shows. Once I did that and started to, and he had me on his show. I was nervous for that first show. I actually had been a big fan of his. I thought, out of all of the creators at the time, he and I were the most similar. And I even said that publicly. And I did consume alcohol during that stream. And for anyone who thinks I'm an alcoholic, I am not. If I have 10 drinks per year, that's a lot. Okay. I don't drink. I wouldn't even call myself a social drinker, but I did drink during that stream. And as the stream went on, I find it kind of funny because with my frame, I was pretty intoxicated by the end of it. Everyone likes to call me a drunk because of that. Okay. But for those who really know me, they understand. It's not my thing. So after that first stream, and then there was another a few days later, and then he would ask again and again, and I would go on when he would ask. And it got to a point early on when I was going on different creators' channels that there became a little bit of a bottlenecking, so to speak. I couldn't be everywhere to everyone. I was enjoying it. I was getting to meet people and understand different styles of content creation. I also was very passionate. First off, I'm up very, very early every morning to go running. The other problem is I have young children, so I don't like to stream late at night. Not everyone, a lot of people have said, like, well, why doesn't she stream at night? Or why won't she go on a spaces at night? Her kids being asleep would be the perfect time. Not in my home. I don't want to disturb my kids. And I don't want to talk quietly when I'm streaming or on a spaces. So when my children go to sleep, I like to wind down and end my day and go to sleep. So he would ask at random times and he would ask frequently. All the while, would shit talk other creators, many of them. I found it very funny and a little bit hypocritical that one of the reasons why he had gone and still continues to go incessantly at Brian of LTL Media was all the shit talking he says Brian did about people. And, Jess has said that too, and all the shit talking Brian would do. I can't speak to what Jess Machado has, her experience with Brian was, but I'll get to her momentarily. We'll talk so much shit about Brian, Mike Crawford, Aiden, DJ. I'm forgetting people, John Camo, all of these creators. He would talk shit. He talked shit about Karen Reed and others. And my memory is escaping me, but he talked so much shit. And it was, in my experience, I don't know, it was certainly my impression that he was doing so to either make himself feel better or to dissuade me from doing other programs. I don't know what his motivations were. I'm sure he'll talk into a camera this afternoon and try to scoff it off or, suck down some cigarettes and laugh about it while he's baked beyond recognition. But that was my observation that, he was talking shit about people to either make himself feel better or to, discourage me from going on other streams. And all of these requests he was making, I mean, I would get texts in the middle of the day, hey, can you come on? I literally took one of his streams or, attended one of them from like a parking lot when I had just gotten back from running. I had driven to a park, went running, and I got a text from him, hey, can you hop on and explain this or that? He then had asked if I would be, and I'm not sure what the right words were, but a legal analyst. He basically said, can you give legal commentary for trial two? And I said, yes. I actually said, sure, I'd be happy to do that. And what he said was, I'd like you to be the exclusive legal commentator for trial two. Trial two on his channel. And I said, yes. And I started to commit to that. I don't know if the streams are still up, but there were various streams where I would make myself available, including streaming late at night. One night, by the way, I was streaming for him on very little notice. He asked me to come on at 10 o'clock at night. I broke that rule that I just talked about, where I don't do this when my children are sleeping. And I committed to stream with him at 10 o'clock at night. And he proceeded to keep me in the waiting room for 40 minutes till 10:40 p.m. while he shit talked someone. I don't remember who. But when he was done shit talking them, and frankly, thank you, Will, for doing your shit talking of whomever, but without me on the screen. But I waited for 40 minutes before you even let me up to then start the commentary. That was one of the last streams. It might have been the last stream I did for him. It was either that or the penultimate stream, but either way, kept me waiting 40 minutes. And then I streamed with him, and I don't think I finished until 1 o'clock in the morning. And I had to be in court the next morning. Now, many of you would say, well, shame on you, Nan. Why did you do that? Why did you let someone treat you that way? You're right. Lesson learned. But I had committed, he had asked, and I committed to be the legal analyst or commentator for his channel. And while I did that, I scaled back appearances for other creators during that time. And what I said to him, which he likes to conveniently twist, and Jimmy does as well. What he likes to twist is the fact that I actually said to him multiple times, and I said it to Jimmy as well when we were speaking. Can you please do me a favor and let the other creators know that you have asked this of me? Because I feel like I'm in a tug of war. I feel like I've committed to this. I've told some of the creators, like, hey, I'm going to be doing this more for Will, and it's just not really landing. If you wouldn't mind just communicating with them, letting them know that you've asked, that way I don't feel betwixt and between and pulled in between everybody. And that is not me asking to be his legal commentator. It's not me begging for it, wanting it, seeking it. What I was doing was asking him in exchange for me doing this for free and to give voluntarily and wantingly of my time to provide this insight, which I enjoyed doing, even with his sporadic, fucking warped schedule. Um, I I would like in exchange that you please mention this to other creators in passing that you've asked and I've accepted, because it's really not landing when I'm saying it. That's what happened. I didn't ask to be or push to be his legal commentator. And that is the truth. So he can spin it however he wants. I don't want you that way, Will. I didn't want you that way, Will. And you can get over yourself and conveniently spin it like other stories that I can't talk about right now for reasons that I've already explained publicly a couple of weeks ago. You can spin whatever you want, but I know the truth, and you are conveniently twisting it. So, with that said, some last comments about him. I noticed, okay, so now we're getting back to March of 2025. One night, and it was the night he streamed on or with, maybe he had them on his show, Seeking Justice or Justice Served, excuse me. Linda Kenny Bodden and Michael Bryant were on his show, or vice versa. I think it was on his show. And he had announced on his show that he's not having any more guests. That was roughly March 23rd, March 27th, something like that, 2025. And he said, I'm not going to have any more guests. And I was actually listening. I was enjoying the content, to be honest with you. And I was surprised. He hadn't even talked to me about that after he had asked me to be the legal commentator. I cleared, and he knew this, I cleared my trial schedule for the next few months, just so I would be readily available after work hours, just to lighten my own load professionally, to be this accommodating to him so I wouldn't overburden myself. And he didn't even have the professionalism or respect to discuss that with me first. Is it his right to do that? Sure. Could he have been a good human and talked to me about it first without talking into his fucking microphone to his echo chamber and tell them? Yeah, that would have probably been a good human thing to do. After that stream, I texted him and I said, can we talk or something to that effect? And he said, sure. And we spoke. And I said, hey, are you not having any more guests? And he said, yeah, it's not the direction I want to go in for the channel. It's not really what the channel is about. Essentially, like, the channel does better on its own. And by the way, Will, I actually agree with that. I think your method of expression, it's exclusive to you. I don't think it's guest oriented. But that's what he told me. And I simply said, I wish you would have told me first before I learned this, from your stream. And that was the end of the conversation. We had no friction or any problem after that. That was the end of it. And then until the fall, after I identified Jimmy, and then when it was starting to trend that, there was a rift in the community between one side and another side. And then he became more vocal. But again, everyone looked back to the text messages I posted, because they're on my page, and that's how he viewed me in October of 2025. So that's a full 6 months later. He had no issue with me. No audience was were for those text messages. So that is the story of what happened with him. And I never once would have begged to be anyone's exclusive legal commentator. I tried as best I could if people asked, and it was a subject I was prepared to discuss, and I had availability to always be available to everyone. So, so that's that. I'm sure he'll spin it however he wants. I know he likes to talk about what he thinks happened with Court TV. That's what he thinks. And for anybody who is out there saying, well, no, you didn't do this, or that's a lie. How do you know? Why? Because Will the Glarer in Tennessee told you that? That's why you know that? Okay. Okay. Then that says more about you again than it says about me. I actually kick the tires and ask questions and find out facts, and don't just spoon feed and allow myself to be force fed lies by people so they think, that they can influence you. Make up your own minds independently. Couple extraneous comments about Nurse Kim, and they're I'm going to hop around a little bit on people. Nurse Kim, I didn't have any bad experience with Nurse Kim. Um, she asked me to appear on one of her shows. I did. I thought it went well. She said it did. I love how she kind of smack talks now because, you see who she aligns herself with. But Nurse Kim, from my experience, uh, really had no reason to have an issue with me. But if she did, she did. That's her prerogative. I would never try to control that. But if it was her taking a bullet and having me on her show because she was taking a bullet, babe. Oh, let's take a bullet and have Nan on. Okay. Then why did you fucking ask me on again? Why did you ask me on again? We were scheduled at your request, not my request, for me to appear on your show again. And I cleared my schedule. We arranged a date. I was set to join and talk about some medical related nuance to the Karen Reed case. And it was set to happen on a Saturday morning at your request, excuse me, Sunday morning at your request. and this is the second time I was going to appear with you. And then I was all ready. I said, okay. That day, that morning arose. I had never, it was just days after it was set up. I had never received a link to join the StreamYard. The time for the stream passed, and I texted her and I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't receive a link. Like, are we starting soon?" And she told me, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Whatever words she was using, but, it completely escaped my mind. My father is sick and I'm going to have to reschedule it." And that was my last interaction with her. So I would simply point out, and there's a lot more I could say. That's my own personal commentary about her talents, or whether or not I find that she has any. She has the right to express herself in the ways in which she wants to. It's her manner of expression. I won't comment on it because my personal opinions are my own. But what I wanted to highlight as to her is simply that if it was that awful and you really took that bullet to have me as your guest the first time you took that for the community, then why did you ask me again? All right. And I have my own opinions as to whether or not you're being truthful to your audience of people who pay money to you, as to whether or not you heard and or disclosed an unlawfully recorded conversation. But I will leave it at that. Simply put, it's better to be honest with your audience, and they will forgive you for whatever reasons you were dishonest with your audience. But you know that, Kim. You know that.
I mean, it's kind of indisputable at this point. She heard the recording and then she lied about it. I mean, which is fine. I get it. She didn't want to get Aiden pissed off at her, but then instead of just being quiet about it, she decided to like gaslight Karen and be like, "Well, Karen's starting all of this problem when she wasn't recorded, and I didn't hear a recording, and blah blah blah." It's like, all right, just if like you're afraid of him, fine. Just keep your mouth shut. Stop lying about it. And
Yeah.
I have my own thoughts on her. Like I've done nothing to this person, nothing. I even kept my mouth shut about her hearing the recording, and then she decided to start with me, like publicly attacking me on her show, and so.
Right.
I mean, she's just another morally bankrupt person that, I mean, you look at her life and it's like, it just, who cares?
Well,
Who
and
cares?
and well, on that point, Meredith, because that's a good point. Like there is a lot more I could say. I think that it's really reckless for anyone with a public platform, meaning a YouTube platform and channel, to be commenting about and let me use you as an example. Like I think and there are various content creators out there, YouTube hosts I'll call them, who chose to publicize the restraining order proceeding with you and Aiden, and comment on it and let people comment on it and scoff at it. And I don't remember, honestly, let me be very clear. I don't know if Nurse Kim did, but what I know is that I've heard her on various opportunities for her to comment on her opinions of you and or your mental health. And I think that's so improper. It's really offensive to me as a listener for another woman, and she's not alone. I
Well,
mean,
and she's
there was
supposed to be a nurse, right? And calling
right.
somebody 5150. And let's just be clear, all of these idiots calling me that, you guys realize your leader is the only one who's actually like been close to being 5150. I've never had any kind of like mental health sectioning, nor do I need it. But your leader, on the other hand, had like these public suicide threats. I mean, first with the extension cord with Leah Janduso, LG1, and then Lindsay, the video of him walking down the street, threatening to walk into traffic. I mean, if anybody needs like serious mental health help, I mean, he's texted me too when we were together saying like the world, like I'm just gonna do you and Julie a favor and like leave, like hinting at killing himself. Like I don't want to live without you. Like it's fucking deranged. And then you have Will the Glare, who has like a documented attempt to where his kid's there and he's threatening to slit his wrists to his kid. It's these people are all fucking like sick. They're sick, and they're the ones calling me 5150. I mean, it's the lack of self-awareness. It's why it's like I don't take any of these people seriously.
I agree. The hypocrisy of it all. Like I said before, there was someone I spoke to right before this spaces who was like, what's the word you would use to describe all of this?" And I was like, I don't know. Is it hypocrisy? It's sad. It's just I don't understand that. And I do, as a woman, take particular issue with it that there are women in the community who chose to feed into that. It's equally as offensive when men do, but when women do it, and one content creator in particular um, chose to stream that hearing and to offer just outlandish, biased commentary, reckless commentary about it. I'm going to reserve comment about that, but other than to say
I
that,
don't even know who you're talking about. I've never listened to anybody's streams of it. I've never even listened to the hearing after because it's just behind me, And like my biggest
yeah,
thing with that was that I was worried at the time. I wasn't like I just wanted to stop and I was worried at the time. I had convinced myself I wasn't going to be able to find a new job because of all the shit with them and like the purple Kool-Aid stuff with the shows named after me. And then like I think I told you at the time, like a day or two into like before the second hearing when it was rescheduled, I got this offer from there and I was like, I was so nervous for a few weeks that like they were gonna like see something like Googling and they were gonna like rescind it. I like didn't want to get excited about it. I was literally like I didn't even want to I didn't tell my mom for like until it was like a done deal, like I was starting and everything because I was scared that something was gonna happen and they were going to rescind. Like I didn't let myself get excited about it because I thought they were going to
right,
rescind. And that was like the thing with just the fucking with my job. And yes, Aiden did fucking contact my job on his stupid burner account called State Street Matter. They were all fucking with my job, Jessica. That was like really what was the turning point for me deciding to try and get an order on him. Like, cause it was like, this is never going to stop. I took breaks from Twitter. They didn't stop. And like, Purple Kool-Aid doing, I mean, right now his stupid channel is gone anyways, but if that gets back up and those are names, I'm fucking suing his ass. I have the money now. I have what I need to do it. Like he can, like, it's just they just took it way too far. And that was why I did it. But like any of them, like you're streaming a restraining order hearing. I mean, I don't know why I'm surprised because they all did it with his ones with Lindsay, but it's like these people are fucking weird. Who the fuck like wants to like make this content? And they've all made thousands of dollars off me and Aiden's breakup the last few months. Like, I mean, you look at the views on Jess Machado's show when like the stuff with our breakup was really going out. They're like double what they are now because this is like great content for them. They're all just like sick, gross people. This makes them excited, calling people 5150. Like, imagine if I really was like upset and had mental health problems, like calling somebody that, like somebody who really was, and then you're mocking them, calling 5150, they would probably kill themselves. Like, but it's just, I don't know. It's just, there's no words to describe them. And that's why I just don't care anymore what they think. They're all just gross and their fans like think like, does that make you feel good listening to some of these people like talking, not even just the ones that talk about me, the way they talk about you and your body, like making songs about you and like your skin. Like if you're the kind of person that is cheering that behavior on and thinking this is good and that makes you feel good and you're entertained by it, like take a look at your own life. And my Twitter feed now on this account is so much better than my old one. It's like stuff with like fitness and
right.
working out and like recipes and animals. And it's just, you feel so much better after like listening to a podcast about, I don't know, like how to build a business or anything but like this little like turtle boy world with all of this hate against people and like talking just so much shit about people who most of the world doesn't even know who the fuck they are. It's just, it feels so much better. Like, in your mind just feels so much more clear than these like just in the spaces that have happened that I see like clips of. Like, I don't have you, like you said earlier, you don't have to listen to any of it. Like if I go back on my old account, it's suspended. My feed is just full of clips of like these spaces and like the meltdowns and like that one with Barry on. I was just like, honestly, I am so embarrassed to have ever been associated with like this movement or any of these people. And like, if I were the one who was behind all this, if I were Turtle Boy, I would be fucking embarrassed. Like these like adults, these 50-year-olds screaming at each other on spaces. And it's like, this is just normal, par for the course, like another day. Like this is fucking psychotic and weird behavior. Like these adults on these spaces screaming at each other. It's weird. And it's weird that it's like normal. Like this is not normal.
Yeah, and I guess you don't see that it's not normal um, until you look outside of it. And
You have a break from it, like having a break from all of it. Like it's not fucking normal.
yeah, and it's weird. Like I don't know the names of them, but I know that there's a couple of I think there at some point was maybe a documentary on Netflix about like the social media and how it's kind of tailored to people, and they're monitoring you, they're watching you, they're feeding into what you're looking at, clicking on, shopping for, etc. So like there's a lot of resources out there for people to educate themselves and learn more about how these algorithms work and data mining. Uh-oh, can you still hear me? I just heard a sound.
Yeah, I know we weren't gonna like approve any speakers, but I don't know. I assume you are on the same page with NH2.
It's just a healthier place that I have
Yeah.
found. And
Yeah, and you can like still give your 2 cents on it and still not care. Like I don't care about any of these people. Any of these people that keep doing streams with me, like I don't care. I mean, I only cared when it was titling with my name and my job profession to try to like fuck me over. Like I don't care. Talk about me all you want. Keep grifting off of me. Talk about me. Oh, she's crazy. She's 5150. She's too skinny now, or she's too fat. Like I don't give a shit. But you can still comment on it. Like I'll give my 2 cents. I mean, I already, what is it, Saturday? I mean, it's beautiful out. I already got in my steps. I got outside. I'm literally just cleaning and getting on my day, and you can still give your 2 cents on it without caring about these people.
I completely agree with you. And I did definitely want to say again, thank you for giving of your time this afternoon to help me with all of this, because I also wanted to group you into that kind of population that I grouped Jen Altman in minutes ago, where I kind of described her and I said, hey, we haven't really just had a smooth sailing. It's not like I have a tremendous history with Jen Altman. But I don't think she would disagree when I say like, hey, we haven't loved each other every step of the way. Things have happened, but we've gotten through it and realized that certain things matter, and you can be a strong woman and be assertive, and you can even at times, I'm speaking about myself, say bad things online. I've barked back at people in ways that, some of which I think is good and some of which, I'm not proud of. But just to move past that and to just realize that there's there's ways for people to communicate with each other and move beyond differences in the past. And honestly, that's been my experience with you too, Meredith. I mean, over the last several months, I've been very happy to have grown closer to you, but I know there was probably a period of time, and we don't have to talk about it for full public display, where, people don't like me per se. No one has to like everything about me or anything about me. You were also communing with individuals who didn't like me. By the way, NH dude, can I just ask you to mute yourself real quick, because I'm hearing your wind chimes. Thank you.
Yeah, and no, I'll say like, and I've apologized to you privately, and I'll say it publicly too. And like when it came out there that I had talked to, I'll be the first to admit I talked shit about you with Jimmy like back last spring, like a year ago when he was talking about you too, and I didn't know he was like behind that money scam. I mean, that's taking it too far, and I'm sorry for doing that. And
it's okay.
And I've like looked back to it, like my conversations and stuff, and like I feel bad about talking shit about Esty too, and I'm sorry, and I look at things a lot differently now.
Well, I appreciate that. No need to apologize. I don't.
But yeah, no, I said no, I will. I mean, it's like, and that's the thing. Like when when I was caught on it, I immediately apologized to you. And I just don't get, it just went too far. Cause like, I mean, he really did start it with you, Nan. Like, I don't get why, like once it was like kind of exposed, I don't get like why he didn't just apologize, like instead of doubling down. And like, that's when it escalated, and then it escalated and escalated. And of course you started saying stuff back, and like the thing about the kids. And it's like, if he just apologized and just stopped, like when it first happened, like it would have never gotten here. And it's just, again, like, I don't know if it makes you feel good as like you're somebody in your 30s and 40s and 50s saying these like mean things, like bullying things. Like, if you, I just try to think about it, like if whoever's right or wrong, if like it was my daughter in high school and it was like another high school saying these things about her, like would you feel good about that? Would you feel good if your child was the one saying it about others? And if the answer is no, and then you're still an adult saying this, it's just gross.
It is. And I would also say, like, to any of those who are doing it, like, not only the whole what if I was your sister, your mother, whatever, but like, what if it was your child doing this to someone else? Think back to any of you who are engaging in behaviors like this. And just imagine for a moment that your child of whatever age was doing this online, whatever this is, whether it's trolling people, insulting them, going after jobs, destroying relationships, identifying personal information, threatening to put up billboards in a person's town, all of that stuff. What if it was your child engaging in that? Like, would you be proud of your child? Or would you use it as an opportunity to maybe parent them and lead them in a better direction moving forward? I have kids who are 11 and 13. I'm not naive. I know with bigger kids, big problems. I get it. I don't need people making parenting critiques, including Jess Machado, who likes to critique my parenting because, she's been a parent for 25 years and she's going to teach me some lessons about how to be a better parent. I'm going to try not to throw up in my mouth as I utter those words. But the point is, we look at these scenarios and say, like, okay, I get it. My kids are going to get bigger and they're going to have bigger issues that they face and engage in behaviors that I can't control. Okay, but it's my job now to help parent them as they enter a new transitional phase in their lives, to help them make better choices and to see that I'm not perfect and I too make mistakes, and how I dust myself off and learn from those mistakes. So I would simply say that there has been and will continue to be opportunities for people who have even done pretty bad things, including myself, to sit at the proverbial table and have a conversation and try to make amends and move forward. Because I do believe that's the best for everyone. Doesn't mean everyone has to forgive each other. It doesn't mean that at all. It just simply means that it's never too late for anyone, including myself, to try to make amends. And I will bring that theme back in when I talk about Aiden Carney in a few minutes. What I did want to do is ask Steve, NH Dude, is there something you would like to say at this time?
Well, good afternoon, ladies.
Hi.
I actually just was calling for a little intermission break. I was going to bring some entertainment in, just to kind of give it a
Okay.
little break, take a little breather and everything. No, I'm just
Okay.
kidding. No, I honestly wanted to just have the opportunity to give you the credit that you deserve, to have the ability to come here and speak your truth, because it has been a shit show. I've witnessed it before I even knew you. I didn't meet you until May of last year, but prior to that. And so to see the vitriol over somebody that was just giving of her time, and then to be shredded the way you have been. And granted, you can give it up just like the rest of them, but rightfully so. So I just wanted to come up and give you props for airing your truth, stepping up to the plate, and setting the record straight. As we know, you could speak for 10 hours and you're still going to have people out there that are going to be naysayers, but I just want to give you the credit where credit is due. So great job. And I'll let you get back to it. All right. There. Did I give you a couple of minutes to get some oxygen? You good to go?
Thank you so
Meredith.
much. Thank you.
Thanks, Meredith. All right. All right.
Thank
Be well.
you. I appreciate that. Thank you. And I would say that, there are people, whether it's NH Dude or other content creators, um, you know, people like Brian LTL of LTL, Brian of LTL Media, Mike Crawford of the Young Jerks, JFK, James Jackson, Kevy Kev, Jay Brill, John Camo, Eric DiGirolamo, and there are others. I know I'm forgetting. DJ and Boston Bia, who have witnessed what's been going on, at least as it relates to me, and have expressed, their feelings to me about it. And some have been there for me to, vent to them or to express that I was upset for a period of time. I'm not anymore. So I think a lot of times, and I'm guilty of this too. You hurt people just to land some punches, and I do believe hurt people hurt people. I'm not saying in any way that I'm not guilty of that too, but what I have done is engage in it as a reaction, not proactively. And I just wanted to say that these people of the that I've just listed have been really great. And they've all continued on in creating good content. So for anyone who is listening to this who doesn't follow their channels, I would strongly encourage you to, not only because I think that they're good people, but they create good content, and they're not going anywhere. So this cancel culture type of mentality really isn't working. Maybe it worked a little bit, but I think that it's short. That was short lived, and there's nothing but growth. And I see great things ahead for them. And I think a lot of them shake their head like NH Dude does as well, which is like, I don't understand where this was coming from. And it was coming pretty early on. The first night that I ever streamed, I was on the Young Jerks back at the end of January 2025. And Mike had made a comment, and it was the first time we really had a full conversation. We had one phone call before that stream, and he had said to me, on the stream, he said something like, the trolls are going to come for you. Don't, brace yourself. Usually takes about a month or a month and a half, something like that. I mean, it took hours. It took days for trolls to come. And mostly those trolls were anti-free Karen readers, many of whom I've since had opportunities to have respectful conversations with, even though di- uh, we are diametrically opposed as to what we think happened, and who's at fault for it on the evening of January 29th, 2022. Some of them who had originally come at me with negativity or personal ad hominem attacks. We've had conversations since, and no, I'm not anti. I haven't flipped. I'm not going to the Commonwealth and switching teams. And I still do believe in the First Amendment. But these are people, and I've taken the time to discover some of them and to realize that they see me as a person and I see them as a person. So I just wanted to take an opportunity to say that. And it doesn't mean also that I have turtle boy derangement syndrome. No matter what anyone likes to say about that or think about that, you're talking into a very limited echo chamber with a very limited population. Um, okay.
Yeah, that's not a real thing. Despite putting it in court filings, that doesn't make it real either.
Fair enough.
Seeing somebody for who they are is not derangement system. It's not a real thing. It's copying Trump derangement system. Like again, like the inflated sense of self-importance. Yeah, I could go on, but yeah, it's not a real thing. It's not a real thing. That's it.
Yeah, I appreciate your insight there. Saying it doesn't make it true, and I would say consider the source. And honestly, and I will talk about Aiden in a few minutes, but I for people who think I'm just anti Aiden Carney and I want him in jail, that's not true either. That's not true either. I'd like him to try to be a better person, whether it's as to me or to others. I don't like a lot of his commentary as to others whom I care about, but I don't wish him to go to jail. I don't want the Commonwealth to be successful in its endeavors as to him. But I can say more about that momentarily. Just a few more people I'd like to go on my valid truth journey about. Want to talk about Let me talk about Jess Machado, who has made it abundantly clear that she's going to spend her Saturday afternoon touching grass and going to a beach and wherever she's going to go of a personal nature today. Hi, Jess. Hi to you. I know you're listening. You can say you're not, but you are. And that's fine. If it helps you to posture and put that image out there, go with it. You go with that narrative, and trust me, I won't call you out for it. Wink, wink. Um, the Jess Machado thing. Here are my thoughts, and they're in no particular order. I went at her with a post, and I said this a couple weeks ago, but just for those who weren't listening, I went at her with a post in the fall at some point of 2025 after months and months of incessant uh, YouTube streams and commentary, negative in nature, that's me putting it euphemistically, that she engaged in as to Brian of LTL Media incessantly. I don't think there's anybody who is listening to this now or hereafter who would disagree with me. She went all in, as they say, balls deep in going against him. And I let it happen. I watched it happen. I listened to it happen. I was absolutely appalled by not only what she was saying, but more seriously, the frequency of how she was doing it. And her experience with him, that's her experience. I'm not going to ever critique her for that. She has her experience. I think she's completely embellishing it for motivations that are quite obvious to the critical eye. But she went all in as to him for months and months and months and stirred a hornet's nest of people against him. It also spurred on some derivative offshoots, which are troubling in nature, which I won't discuss today. But I will simply say I did go at her with a Twitter post where and I'm paraphrasing, said, "What are you doing? Like, you're going at him incessantly. Here you are, you start your YouTube channel, you had an opportunity." And frankly, I thought she was going to use it for independent journalism, but turned it into a complete drama shit show week after week or day after day where she just shit on him or shit on other people. And I gave my First Amendment opinion that it was a squandered opportunity. Show and tells and shitting on people, it's ridiculous. And the amount of shitting that she did on Brian, I thought was inappropriate. And I told her that in a Twitter post. The reaction to that, which conveniently, and by the way, she was free to react to it. Oh, and boy, she did. But the reaction to that conveniently gets spun. So let me allow an opportunity here for me to set it straight. Everyone thinks, oh, you first went at her and you first weight shamed her, etc. No, I posted, like I just said, and you can look back. I don't delete posts. If I've deleted anything, it's to protect my family. But she, within a matter of a day or two, created a disparaging song about me and did her in her inimitable way started to attack me. Now I'm content for her, and she's going to go all in, made a song, was so proud of it. It disparaged me, making fun of whatever I wore to the JFK event, I believe. I think that was part of her original song. I could be wrong on that, which I'll talk about that outfit in a moment. But anyway, she went all in and disparaged me with a song. And then game on. I wasn't going to back down at that point. And I did weight shame her. Um, I I don't I don't know what to say about that other than, yeah, absolutely. Was I formerly 200 pounds heavier than I am? Yeah, I was. Do I know that it has a bad look for a formerly fluffy woman to be attacking extremely, um, I mean, just hugely fluffy woman about her weight? Absolutely. Did I think it was going to hurt her or bother her? I sure did. Hurt people, hurt people. But just so it's clear for anyone who's like, oh my God, you were formerly fat and you're making fun of her. Look, I'm not proud of it, but it definitely was done um, to bother her. And it has. She can say it didn't, but it did. And it does. And that's fine. But for people to think that they've somehow revealed this, aha, you were formerly fat, and stream a video of me that is out on YouTube from me streaming years ago when I was 200 pounds heavier, for them to kind of say, well, you used to look like this and now you look like that, or you looked prettier when you were heavier. Look, I know I don't make any secret of any of that. In fact, within like a couple of weeks of entering the public scene of the FKR community, I posted a video of my transformation. I have made it clear on multiple streams that I used to be heavy and now I'm not. So you're not hurting me. You're not adding news. Maybe some people were unaware that I used to be heavy, enormous actually, but I was well aware of it. And once the original antis were coming at me about my weight, I put it out there. Why? Because to use Jess's words, you got to get ahead of it. And I did. So it's no secret to me. And yes, I've gone all in with her. And I remember one particular night, my friend JFK, unbeknownst to me, as a surprise to me, had in the swirl of all of it, kind of put together or commissioned the putting together of a song about her that disparaged her. And I was like tickled pink at the time because I was feeling pretty crappy about what had transpired. This, I give her a First Amendment right protected post about how she absolutely and unequivocally squandered an opportunity to actually be a good independent journalist with a good channel that will grow. Your channel's not going to grow, Jess. I'm sorry to tell you. It won't grow beyond much of what it is now. So I hope you have a good savings plan and I hope you're saving for your taxes for next year. But with that said, he put together a song for her and I loved it. I loved it like a little schoolgirl. I was like, wow, this is great. It made me feel better in the short term. I got the quote unquote dopamine effect from it. And it kind of all spiraled from there. And I will simply say this. I'm not, just like Jess isn't gonna stop. I'm not gonna stop shitting on shitty people. So if she wants to continue on, I will too. And I've seen pretty atrocious behavior from her beyond me. I don't think it's really in good taste to hold seances on your stream about me. If I choose to deactivate for periods of time for my own mental health or my own personal, literally personal in real life safety or that of my family, I will do that. And for it to become a punchline, for people to simply hold seances for me, including you, Jess, and you, Jimmy, and others, I think that's horrible. If I deactivate, it's my right to do that. And honestly, for those who don't fully understand, most times if I deactivate, it's either or both for my own mental health and or for my own personal safety. And guess what? When I do deactivate, sometimes risks in real life to my own personal safety or that of my children actually increase. So I come back. So everyone who tells me to log off, why don't you just log off, Nan? I don't have to log off. Neither do you. B, it doesn't solve the problems because I've logged off. I've gone dark. I've gone silent for days, weeks, months at a time. And everyone still keeps talking. Not everyone, not all the time. And maybe it'll die down a little bit, but it becomes a punchline or little albums get created. So if I log off for me. If I come back, I come back for me. But I shouldn't have to compromise what I like to do or how I do it just because a mindless mob thinks that I should. So, as far as Jess is concerned, is it in great taste to fat shame another woman if you've been formerly fat? Not really. But ask yourselves, is she doing anything in great taste? And why do I have to be perfect? I'm not perfect. As I said on the Young Jerks last night, I can be salty, I can be sweet, I can be spicy, or I can be pleasant. Whatever that works for me, it works for me. And I get it. You fuck around and find out. You're going to get dirty. I understand all of that. But ultimately, I didn't start any of all of this. And it was fine for me to post at her and say, you're shitting on Brian. I think it's inappropriate. He is my friend. And I did stand up for him and I would do it again and I would do it again and I would do it again because he is a very good person. And I'm not saying that to the exclusion of any other content creators by listing him separately on this. Brian keeps his head down, he blocks out the noise, and he keeps going. He actually does great content. He doesn't get involved in all the drama. On occasion, he'll say a thing or two here and there, and I respect him for that. But what he does is good journalism. And ultimately, it's kind of ironic how there's some individuals who critique or critiqued his manner of journalism when it's actually what those individuals who have critiqued him aren't doing themselves right now. He's shedding light on some very important issues and cases up in the Massachusetts and Rhode Island areas, and I admire that. He's shedding light on the Epstein files and issues involving that and all of the surrounding really dark issues involving that, and I admire that. But most importantly, I admire him as a person. He's there for me. We talk. I've gotten to know him, and he's been compassionate and very understanding, and he's there when I need him. So, for anyone who likes to shit all over him, I would simply say take an opportunity to decide for yourselves how you feel about him and his content, and don't listen to a small few who are telling you how to feel about it. And I wish him nothing but the best, always. So, I'm going to move off of Jess Machado, other than to say, you know, to spend your day doing your job, your quote unquote work for upwards of 3 hours at a time on a weekday, sitting in your car on your ass, talking shit about people, complimenting yourself, self aggrandizing, and simply sitting there spewing bullshit because your little echo chamber, which is very limited, of people are there spurring you on, making you feel good about yourself, and simply encourage people not to listen to a spaces like mine this afternoon. I find that very funny. So I find it extremely ironic and really hypocritical because if you'd actually get off your ass and stop shoveling high caloric foods in your mouth, and do something productive, including mailing out your old clothes to your viewers who paid you money for your old clothes in a manner that shouldn't cost 800 something dollars, and do it expeditiously, then you'd have more time on your hands to lead a productive life. But if you want to continue talking about me, I will continue talking about you. I don't care. I'm not going anywhere. And I also take personal issue with the reckless and inappropriate manner in which you have chosen to treat Jennifer Altman and Meredith and others beyond Brian, who I've mentioned, the way you've shit on Mike Crawford. I think it's really disgusting. You're a disgusting individual. So I understand that will welcome a bunny raid. It will welcome a seance. It will welcome more drama from you. And I don't care. What I can tell you is you have, as I said in my first tweet to you, you have an opportunity to actually do something productive with your talents. And you don't, you squander it. And it wouldn't take much to look in the mirror and to do something positive with those skills that you have. Um, Also, you and others have commented on how I look and how I look so old. And gosh, you think I'm so old, and how I've dressed at the JFK event. And I know other people have said that too. I believe I was described by Aiden as dressing like a prostitute that evening. That is really something. First of all, it doesn't bother me that you've said that. I'm actually really proud of how I look. Do you lose 200 pounds naturally? I might add. I don't take weight loss medications, and I haven't had any gastric or bariatric surgeries. And do you do that in your late 40s and with my family genetics look like a supermodel? No. Do I have extra skin? Sure. Do I want to have something done about that? Maybe at some point in time. That's my personal choice. But I can tell you one thing, I rather be a size 2 than a size 28. And I am proud of how I look. I think I looked great that evening. And if you think otherwise, that's your opinion. But if that's what you have to say about me, if you want to make fun of my boots or my black leather pants that I would have never been able to fit in a decade ago, or even 3, 4 years ago, and I never thought possible, okay, I was really proud and I thought I looked great. So for all of you who choose to say I look old, or I'm a boomer, or I look like a skeleton, well, I frankly think you're wrong. I put a lot of pride in how I look, and that goes to you too, Will. um, and I think a lot of people forget. They think I always dress a certain way on streams. Anyone, I challenge you right now to look back at the body of work that I've done, and I'm using work extremely loosely. But if you look at all the streams I've done, and I mean, I don't know, there has to be over 100 since I entered the scene in January of 2025. I wear all different outfits, mostly t-shirts and long sleeves and sweatshirts, or I'll wear tank tops or sweaters or work attire. I wear all different things. So if you're going to say I dress like a hooker, look back at pictures I've posted. Look how I dressed on verdict day or the day before verdict day or when I've gone to court. I'm a human being who dresses differently based on my own preferences and based on the occasion. And that was a fun night, the JFK and James Jackson's event. I had a great time. I loved the vibe. Um, and and I'm really proud of that. It was that an unconventional outfit for me? It sure was, but I really liked it. And that's what I choose to take away from that evening. And Jess Machado, no matter what you think, how old I look or how I looked better fluffy, I'm 3 months older than you. So I think even though people can say, oh my God, Nan looks old and skeletal or horrible or wrinkly, I would tell you all, I actually think that you just need to look in the mirror and you think you don't look old because you're fat. So you lose all the weight like you keep saying you're going to do as you're shoving down your pistachio, whatever, mocha chocolates every morning and your Asiago bagels with cream cheese. And oh, there was the day in question where you wanted to do more of a high protein breakfast during one of your shit sessions, and you opted for the Chick-fil-A chicken biscuits as the high protein, healthier choice for yourself. Yeah, if you lose all the weight, you too will look old and wrinkly and like an old maid yourself. And to Aiden, who likes to make fun of my age, I'm only 6 years older than you. So you can make your little off-color comments like, geez, she's only 6 years older. She looks old. She looks horrible. I'm only 6 years older than you. My kids are only a year or two older than your kids. We talked about this. So think what you're going to think and draw your own conclusions. But that's how I feel about myself. And guess what? That's most important. I take pride in my appearance. So moving on, as far as a prominent uh, prominent YouTuber is out there, everyone likes to say, "Oh my God, you're jealous of that YouTube creator. You are upset that you were never asked to be on that YouTube creator's show, and you started talking shit about that creator." Let me dispel some myths here. One, I didn't want to be on any creator's show in exchange for offering super chats. I've already explained that. Two, that creator show really doesn't lend itself quite often to guests. I actually had no and still have um, aspirations of ever being on that show. I actually watched that show or that channel frequently. It was an opportunity for me to get pleadings read to me primarily, which helped me better digest things in my life and my daily day as I was following the Karen Reed case, and to hear some legal commentary, which, albeit it's a little bit limited based on that creator's legal experience, but nonetheless, there were no aspirations of a quid pro quo, give money, expect to be loved, give money, expect to be put on a creator's show. I had no issue with that creator. I've never had a communication that I know of with that creator. I've never had any emails, phone calls, or any of the like with that creator. However, I do have firsthand knowledge that that creator has talked a ton of shit about me, a ton of it, and did so first. So just to be clear, I had been asked by um, the individual hosting the Karen Reed fundraiser that took place on April 12th, 2025, to be the keynote speaker at that fundraiser. I had been invited to be that keynote. So I said, sure, absolutely, I'd be happy to attend. And what I when I agreed to do that, and I knew that I didn't know who, but I knew that other creators were expected to go to attend as well. I was in communications with Will the Glare, in the period of time leading up to that fundraiser. And here and there, we'd have occasional conversations about who was attending or who maybe wasn't going to be asked to attend, etc. It came to my attention from uh, not Will, and individuals tied to the family, the Reed family, that this other content creator that I'm talking about had an issue with me attending, a tremendous issue. I don't know specifically, other than I was told it was a either either she is disinvited or I'm not going scenario. That is what I was firsthand told by individuals connected to the Reed family. So I don't know why those individuals would lie about that. I'm certainly not lying about that. And I don't know why that content creator felt so bothered or insecure with uh, him or herself to feel that he or she could not attend that fundraiser if I was attending. It was communicated to me that YouTube creator had an issue in not being asked to be a speaker, and that I had been the keynote speaker asked. I don't know any of it other than what I was informed by individuals close to the family. This was also confirmed to me directly by Will the Glare. 100% he advised me of this as well. If he denies saying this, he's a liar. He's a glyer. He told me also multiple conversations with him that this YouTube creator had an issue with me attending, and it was trying to be managed by the family as to whether or not this creator would be attending. One couple points back to Will on this point. Will used to talk shit about this content creator all the time. This one creator who didn't want to attend the fundraiser and took a big issue with me attending it. He would talk shit about her. Him, all the time. So anything out of his mouth that he did not talk shit about her, then he's lying. Used to all the time. But suddenly, oh, they're buddies. Why? Because they're on the same side now. Why? Money. All right. It's all about money. It's about the grift. That's my opinion. I wasn't told that, but that's my opinion. It's better to be aligned and make money than to be divided and to lose money. And I don't think I'm misinformed on that. I'm a pretty smart individual. That's what it sounds like to me. But just to be clear, Will talked a ton of shit about this creator, the specifics of which some of which I've gone into in chats and or on X. So I'm not going to do anyone's work for them. You can look back at every chat I've ever been in since January of 2025, when I was under the Lothario handle, where, maybe since from then till now, I've said this shit. So I encourage you all, please waste your time, hunt around for chats where I've put these opinions in writing about that particular creator, or that Will has communicated these things, these really disparaging, negative things about her. Him. So ultimately, I don't know. I don't know why that creator is so insecure and has a real issue with going to a fundraiser if I'm going to be there and I'm going to be the speaker, because I had no issue with her or slash him. In addition to it, that creator I'm talking about has taken to his platform multiple times and has disparaged me, speculating as to whether not speculating, stating that I've slept with James Jackson, for example, or that I somehow had a legal responsibility to interject and to stop Aiden Carney from doing dinosaur arms and asking questions in front of a window in front of D&E Pizza on the evening of March 4th, 2025. Sure had problems about that. Just to be very clear, I had no duty to do so. I had no ethical responsibility to do so, to stop him. Frankly, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I didn't believe then, and I don't believe now that he was breaking any law. I don't think he was committing a felony. I didn't then, and I don't now. I'm hearing noise. Do you need to interrupt me?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just gonna say. Also too, like, let's look back at that. That was the first time you met him, right? That night, like, and you're expected to go and like jump in like a mom and like tell him not to do something. We've all been blamed for not doing more to stop it or whatever. I was blamed at first, even though I wasn't even there. I think I was inside talking to somebody, so I wasn't even out there when this whole thing was happening. But I was blamed. Other people Will was like, "Oh, I feel so bad. It's my fault for not stopping it." Like, shut up. Like, he's like a 45-year-old man. Like, he needs to start taking some responsibility for himself. Like, this is nobody else's fault, regardless of what. I think it's stupid that it's like it shouldn't be like a felony for whatever happened. I think it's dumb and silly. But I also think it was dumb and silly to even risk it and do it, like, given like the outstanding charges and everything, But it's nobody else's fault that it happened. It's not your fault. It's not mine. We're not babysitters. And to top it off, like, them putting extra blame on you because you're a lawyer. That was your first time meeting him. Like, would they really expect you to be standing up to him and like interjecting yourself into this to tell him what to do? It's absurd.
I appreciate your insight. And that was actually the night that I met you as well. And that's has become a very infamous night for various reasons we've come to learn.
Oh, yeah.
But I will simply say, I met you at the exact moment I met Aiden. And like, I had no human responsibility to stop him. I had no professional legal responsibility to stop him. I didn't believe he was committing a felony. I still don't believe that what he did rose to the level of felonious behavior. But in addition to that, he has since said that he wouldn't have listened to me if I tried to stop him. I'm a stranger to him, you know, and he didn't say I'm a stranger, but I was a stranger to him. So anyone who's saying, including this content creator of whom I'm speaking, who had a real issue with me early on, and that bled itself into a lot of the online trolling, by the way. But I will tell you, like, this content creator goes on uh, his or her platform, start saying, well, I would have stopped him. She should have stopped him. I should have. Tell me, you point to me where in a statute book, any rule or regulation, rules of professional responsibility, I had to stop him. It is reckless to make such comments. And it is reckless for someone who has a platform which doesn't threaten me. I'm not entering YouTube wanting to legitimately start a channel. Me saying so last year was tongue in cheek. To say that to your audience is reckless to do that, and it is disparaging. To say to your audience all the negative things that you have, including that I'm sleeping with someone, is first off inappropriate. It's
She
irrelevant.
said that. I didn't. She said that. I mean, just the weird
Yes.
obsession with who. Then why don't you start like talking and being? I hope you have the same interest in who Will's sleeping with, because I can name a few from this movement. I mean, one of them has been publicly broadcast because of Aiden on a burner.
Well, that
Like,
actually reminds me. You're triggering a memory of the March 4th incident, which I should probably mention. Um, I I can't speak to much that happened in the Hillside bar. I don't know if it's
Oh
just called the
God.
Hill, but okay. And I didn't really know you, Meredith. But I know you were going through your own personal trials and tribulations that evening, and it was apparent. If it matters, it was apparent to me, an outsider. I'm like, she's she's got she's upset. I mean, that I think objectively you were upset that evening, from my observations of you, at least in the second stop of the evening, which was at the Hillside. And at one point in time, you went to the bathroom for an extended period of time, from my observation. And when you're in the bathroom, um, another female who was present cozied up very nicely to Aiden during that time. And Will was outside, and I assume he was having a cigarette, but I don't know what he was up to, nor do I care. But he was outside, and it was only us. So Will was outside. I was at the bar. Aiden was at the bar with this other female, and you were in the bathroom, and there was cozying up and conversations that I overheard. And I'm not going to spew them here, but I remember thinking at the time, and I've told people about these conversations that I'm alluding to. I've told people since, so I'm not making this up. I don't think I've told you about it. But I will tell you, as an outsider who was eavesdropping, and I really didn't want to eavesdrop, but I'm sitting there by myself at the bar while Will was outside and you were in the bathroom. I remember thinking, wait a minute, that isn't Aiden's girlfriend.
And that's like her friend who's pretending to be her friend. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I know all about it, and it doesn't bother me in the least. And I wish I could say I was surprised by it or hurt, but there's a reason why. Like, there are certain people who I've been quote unquote friends with the last couple of years who I never fully trusted, and my gut was right on that. And luckily, I really didn't trust either of them with anything important. So it doesn't really matter. But yeah, no.
And it was kind of one of those things, like, I didn't know you.
You weren't gonna like butt in. You weren't gonna say something that might make me even more mad at Aiden than I already was at the time. For other reasons, so like, I get it.
Yeah. So I was just like, okay. And it's my personal philosophy is, if there's ever any infidelity going on, like, it's not anyone's role to identify it. Like, people will find out when they find out, because generally speaking, you mention infidelity to someone, and then all of a sudden they stay with or reconcile with their partner, and then you're like the awkward one standing aside who tried to break them up. And that was I didn't care. I just found it notable. So I
Oh
will
yeah, no, I get it.
I
I
will
mean,
leave it at that. It just stuck out in my mind. But while I'm on finishing up as to this content creator, yeah, there were many a time. I don't know why that content creator has chosen to take to her platform and in passing, whether personal observation or being fed information by a drama thirsty portion of her chat. Comments and information or misinformation about me, and then from in the brain out the mouth and spews it about me. So I will simply say that is the story. I did not initiate a single thing as to that person. It is my feeling that that individual absolutely does reside on X. I have not been quiet about my theories as to that person being on social media, looking at X. I also have my own personal views that that person has been in direct contact with others who have specifically trolled me or trolled me herself or himself. And I'll step off there, but I am not threatened by that individual. I do think that, the amount of filters used by that individual on her or his platform, it's pushing the limits of technology. Thoughts and prayers for the filtration system. I think maybe there's a heroic resemblance to Sparkly Rabbit. I pointed that out on my social media the other day, but that's all I'm going to say. If you fuck around with me from a position of your YouTube channel and state such reckless things, I think you're a shitbag. That's all I'm going to say. And I am not in any way intimidated by or jealous of that individual. And frankly, I'm very proud of my resume, my accomplishments, and what I've achieved. And I don't give a flying fuck what another has been attorney has to say about me. And I'll leave it at that. But I can't help what the family has told me. Um, real
yeah, I
shit.
mean, it's just weird, her like obsession with you and your sex life. I mean, I hope she has the same energy about like Nurse Kim, what she's been up to, and then also Will. I mean, we just talked about that a little bit. He that same night, I think he left with the person who was trying to get back with Aiden, like while I was in the bathroom. I mean, and I've since found out that that was another person he cheated on me with during our relationship, and it's just sad. That's because this is a person who has been like humiliated by him publicly for years now, and it's like she's just waiting and waiting. And
Yeah.
yeah, so that's Will's life, and I hope the content creator has the same energy for these other people's sex life as they do yours.
I couldn't agree more. And then uh, talking about the March 4th night while I'm on it, and I only have a handful of more topics that I will get to. But the March 4th evening, I've already talked about how I don't believe it was a crime. I still don't. And if I'm called to testify, I mean, I did on my own videotape the shenanigans going on. Here's some comments about that. I will testify truthfully. I'm not going to give testimony that's adverse to Aiden because he's been a jerk to me online and, whatever. I don't matter, Aiden. Like, just stop talking about me. I don't matter. Like, find something more important to talk about. I'm not going to work with the Commonwealth against you. But I will testify truthfully, which is in line with what I just said. I don't think you were committing a crime. But I do have a videotape, a video, whatever you want to call it, of the event, which has the better sound quality. It does. It has the better sound quality of what was said that evening. And it doesn't come into evidence unless I authenticate it. So I don't,
Well, he has it, but I don't know, and I have it too because he sent it to me. But I don't know. I have to look. I don't even know where in my text it is, or if I have it saved in my photos. But there was a reason at the time. I remember specifically that he was like, "No, we don't want it brought in." Something was said or done in it, and Bettero was like, "No, we don't want Nan's version coming in." So
yeah, I
I'd
mean,
be curious if I were involved in this.
I
Why? that version. I forget. I remember I thought of this a couple weeks ago, and then I totally got sidetracked and never listened to it. But there's some reason why they don't want your version coming in.
Yeah, it's interesting. I haven't listened to it since probably March 5th of 2025 when I handed it over to Aiden and I handed it over to Betero. But I believe, I don't know why it would not be helpful to him. I remember thinking, no, that's not true. I did listen to it subsequently because around that time, whenever it was released, whatever the Commonwealth had that was played, might have been right around that day, but whenever that was played, I remember listening to mine saying mine was better. And my memory, which I'm going by, is that I don't recall anything being said that wouldn't be helpful to him. I mean, I do a lot of criminal defense. I think it was helpful to him, but it doesn't come in. He can't get it in on his own, and I'd have to authenticate it. So what I did say on a Spaces a couple of weeks ago was, look, if I'm asked questions by the Commonwealth about that night in question, I will answer them. I will answer truthfully. I'm not going to bury him. I have nothing to bury him with, to be very clear. I'm not going to allow my personal views of him as a human being to cloud my testimony or color it in any way. But ultimately, it's going to be what it's going to be. If the Commonwealth wants to ask me about, things he has said to me subsequently, or overtures negative in nature that he has made against me publicly, or disparaging comments he's made, I would tell you as a lawyer, if I was the Commonwealth, if I was a prosecutor, I could make an argument to the court that it is relevant on cross-examination to be able to explore my own, Nan Gallagher's experience in that specific vein with Aiden Carney. And he has not said positive things about me online through his channel or in print. So, I mean, you reap what you sow. I'm not saying I'm going to bury him or work with the Commonwealth. What I'm saying is if I'm cross-examined, I have to answer truthfully. I'm not the one who initiated this kind of smear campaign for fun by Aiden once it became very clear to him that I wasn't neutral anymore, which I'll talk about. And I said I was going to talk about him. I'll talk about it momentarily. But that's really my experience with the evening of March 4th. And other than to say that there were individuals who were there that night, who once charges were lodged against Aiden, who panicked. I was not one of them. So by process of deduction, charges were levied the next day. I found out about them contemporaneously when everyone else did as well. And there was panic from people there. Panic who commented to me and reached out to me. So I'll let the audience decide who was there that night and who panicked. And it was panic. So
I know who you're talking about. But again, like the idea that you could have stopped him from doing it or you had any duty to, I mean, he doesn't even listen to his own lawyers most of the time. Like he's really going to listen to you, somebody he just met, just because you happen to be a lawyer. It's silly.
It's illogical. And to think that another lawyer is going to say that. Are you kidding me? You're going to go on your YouTube channel and say, I would have stopped him. She should have stopped him. Okay. All right. If that doesn't illustrate the low level of legal analysis going on by that individual, I can't help you folks. So that's really it. As to March 4th, I have no knowledge and no involvement with what transpired thereafter. I will tell you, there were more than one person who was there that evening that panicked. In addition, I'm imagining, in addition to Aiden, Aiden, when I saw him the next day, March 5th, I encountered him in the vestibule of the Norfolk County Courthouse. And again, this is the second time I've met this individual. Okay. And I meet him, run into him in the vestibule of the courthouse. And I had just walked in, and I'm not going to say what he said to me, but he knows what he said to me during that
Yeah,
conversation.
no, of course he was scared. And like, I remember that was just like a horrible night and day in like 24 hours. I remember I was like just terribly sick, hungover the next day. Like I threw up in the car on the way and on the way home. Was in the bathroom in the registry of deeds, puking and everything in between going into court. Like thought I was gonna have to leave in the middle of court. It was just a horrible day. But we were also like waking up with like hearing about this new charge and like a bail revocation and everything. And it was like again this like idea that he was some like victim of abuse by me that night when we were drunk fighting is just so even more absurd, like compounded by the fact that like he was sending me like the police report immediately within a few hours. Like he's like read this and like what do you think is like a good defense? Like asking me just pick up everything. Like we didn't get in a huge ass fight. Like help me figure out this like legal defense. And I was the one who brought up like the wiretapping aspect of it. I was like, well, maybe this won't be admissible because maybe that's why they didn't want yours to come in is because they wanted to say none of it was admissible because of it, which that's obviously since failed. Like, nobody's done anything about charging Chris Albert with wiretapping, but I'm pretty sure I came up with that like the next day. Like, so again, this idea that he was like some victim of abuse and he was like afraid of me that night and afraid to leave and traumatized and everything from that night is just fucking absurd when it was just business as normal the very next morning with him, you know?
Yeah. And I'm going to, I agree. And I will simply say I'm not going to say what he said to me that day, but he knows. And if he doesn't remember, I do. So if I'm asked what was said and if it was not deemed hearsay, which it might not be because he's a party, he would be a party to that criminal prosecution. I remember what was said. So, and my memory is quite good. So now I'm going to step off of March 4th and 5th, and I will mention just a couple of other key parts that I wanted to talk about. There has been whatever commentary from individuals about things I have put out there concerning a relative of Karen Reed in recent weeks. And what I will tell you is the following. What I've put out there was told to me by individuals associated with the family. So if anyone takes issue with what I've put out there, it's the family. So that's all I'm going to say. Also, I noticed that even though there was a major haranguing around that individual after I said it, uh, I don't hear anyone who's so deeply affected by what I said or wrote who's denying the allegations that I put out there. So I'm gonna say that, and I'm simply going to say that that individual was also directly involved in the online trolling that took place. I know it. I don't just suspect it. I know it. I have confirmed that that individual was involved with the online trolling that took place of me, and I can't unknow it, and I can't help it if family information was directly shared with me. So know your sources, folks. I'm not speculating. I know what I know, and it hasn't been denied. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I wouldn't have put it out there. I'm a lawyer. I know what I know. So that's what I will say about that. As far as Oh wait, I have some notes here because it really went into this kind of unscripted. I've told several people I have no idea what I'm going to specifically talk about, but I do have a couple of other things I wanted to address. I did want to address the issue of Alex, the alleged PDF victim, because I know that stirred up a bunch of shit in, I don't know if it was January or
After you're done,
February.
I just want to say one thing on that too, just because I was offline for a lot of time when that was going down. So go ahead, but I wanted to say something about that whole thing too.
Thank you. I absolutely for telling me that. If I somehow forget, please interrupt me. As far as Alex is concerned, I will say this. I do not know if his allegations are true as to the individual from Texas that has been quite vicious to individuals. That's the Ray from Dallas account. As I do not know if the allegations are true. I can only tell you that I do, and I did, and I still do believe that anyone who comes forward alleging that they are a victim of PDF is a hero to me, because it takes courage to come forward with those types of allegations. And I stand by that. I don't look at one's background, criminal history, credibility, any of that. If I say, I'm proud of you for coming forward, I would say it to anyone else, even someone I didn't like. What you've done is very brave. And since then, there's been someone who's come forward to me and said that they too were a victim of childhood PDF. And Alex's matter inspired that individual to come forward with their story. So I don't know if they're true. I have not come out and said, yes, he is telling the truth. This is exactly what happened. And Ray from Dallas did it. I don't know. And I would point anyone or ask anyone to point to where I did say that. What I can tell you is I also do not represent and never have represented any of the individuals who had platforms associated with the revelation or the continued discussion of that story. I did not and still do not provide legal advice to any individuals who have a platform or more talking about the revelations of that story. I don't practice law outside of the jurisdictions in which I am licensed. I have never held myself out as representing those individuals. Beyond that, I would also mention that uh, as that was unfolding, I believe it was February. I was inspired, I guess would be the best word, to donate for the full cost of a polygraph examination by a certified polygrapher to test that individual. I donated the cost of the testing to take place. I actually found, or that found is not the right word. I've used that company that provides that testing on other cases of mine. So I made the connection, I did the registration, I provided the information to Alex. I never substantively discussed his matter with him. It's not my role to do so. I provided no legal advice to him. I do not represent him. I simply said, I'm going to donate the cost for you to be tested. That is in line with my mantra, which is I donate to good causes. I do not donate, as I've said on X, I don't donate to lost causes. When people come at me and say, oh, will you pay me a $499 super chat for X, Y, or Z? And, they're trolling me. I say, I don't donate to lost causes. I simply freely and lawfully donated the cost for that polygraph. That polygraph conducted by a certified polygrapher with whom I've never had any conversation. I donated that cost. I made the connection between the company and the polygrapher. The testing was done. The test results were sent to me because I did the registration, and I immediately forwarded them to Alex. That's the extent of it. I don't have any opinion on or any influence over what was in those results. I don't take any position now as to the veracity of what's in those results. Nothing I did was unlawful, unethical, or the like. Everyone, including those with a Timu law degree who seem to think that it was unethical for me to do that, point me to where you can substantiate that. It is perfectly proper. I donated my money, which I earned, to pay for that test. Why? Because that test would help, not definitively, but help find the truth. That test came out positive. That test came out in a manner that that individual can use with law enforcement to help flesh out, and a DA, if there is any strength to those allegations. And it will ultimately be up to the prosecutor in their jurisdiction or jurisdictions law enforcement and a jury of Ray from Dallas's peers for that those bodies to decide whether or not there's strength to the claims, whether he makes a strong witness victim, and whether or not it is worth almost or about 30 years later pursuing those charges. And that is the extent of my involvement there. Anyone who says, "Oh, she should have never done that," tell me why. I don't represent him. I don't talk about these allegations. I don't necessarily believe him or not. The extent of me calling him a hero is only because I think it's brave for anyone who's claims to be a victim of any type of SA to come forward with their story, but let law enforcement work it out. And I would simply leave my commentary at that. But Meredith, go ahead.
Yeah. So as somebody else who's had their involvement like just wildly overstated in this, I guess I'll start from the beginning. Like, I mean, it's gone as far as like moron Will has posted that I like paid, like he was like, Meredith must have paid Alex to make him say this. This is all like Meredith's doing. Like, are you, can we just like talk about how like absurd that is? I mean, Alex has been saying this for years and making these accusations. We've since found out from other family members, he's been making this accusation as early as like 10 years ago about Ray. I never said like he definitely did it. All I said was I believed Alex. That's the closest thing I've done to saying that it happened, that I believe Alex. And that's my opinion. I do believe Alex, and I'm allowed to say that. There's nothing defamatory about that. And that's why we got Amy's silly cease and desist letter that has gone nowhere. Haven't heard anything else about that. It's just absurd that like there's been articles written about me. I'm not even going to call it an article, a blog written about me with my name saying like I was the one, I and JFK like made him do this to go after Ray. Like it's absurd. It's nonsense. Like you really think a black man is gonna in his community gonna lie about being touched as a child like this just to please me, somebody he's never met, somebody I've never given him a dime, even when his fund was up. Like I had just lost my job, so I unfortunately didn't contribute. So actually I need to remind myself and do something now that I am working again. I've never given him any money. I had no idea he was going to go on the JFK show. I mean, when I was handed Ray's identity, who, by the way, I mean, you've heard the montage of all of the things he said about me threatening to violate me, show over and over before I said a word about this weirdo. Like, I'm gonna violate you, Mary shit. I hope you get fired. You crooked nasty whore, whatever. Like, if you were handed somebody's identity who had been saying those things about you, literally threatening violence to you for months, would you just like keep it to yourself or would you share it? I mean, I think anybody like. How many times has Aiden written blogs like doxing people who we thought have been behind like anti-Karen accounts? Like, no, you get handed somebody's identity who fucks around online, you share it. Is that doxing? I don't know. Do I care? No, I don't care. I mean, it wasn't on purpose when I filed that copyright thing. It was just a bonus when it happened that I got his identity. I mean, he's hurt a lot of people. I mean, it doesn't hurt me with his words because he's just like a degenerate. I mean, you hear him, it sounds like he has a mouthful of marbles, but it's like, yeah. And then I got his name. I just searched his name in Facebook and then Alex's post came up. I asked him, I just said, like, I told him I sent him a DM because I was just like, is this your cousin? Like, is this true? I mean, I didn't go and say, go then turn around and report, oh, this is true that he did this. No, I just talked to him. I was like, yeah, he's been involved in like a YouTube community that I've been a part of. And he's like said some really horrible things to me, like, and like said some gross things about other women. So I was just curious about this. And then we were talking back and forth and he was like, yeah, that doesn't surprise me that he's acting like this. And then he talked to, I mean, this was before he even said that he was the one who had been abused or whatever. And that was that. And then a week later, we hadn't really talked at all. And then he's on the JFK show, like one night, and I had no idea he was going to be on. I didn't arrange it, like a lot of the cult has alleged. It was a total surprise to me. And then a couple days later, before his second appearance, was when he opened up to me and told me that it was him. And again, I had no idea he was gonna say that on a show. I probably would have just like I think when we spoke, I told him, like, I was just like, look, like, I'm gonna be honest, what's gonna happen with you, like, you're gonna get attacked relentlessly if you do this. And he was like, it's fine, I don't care, like, it's time to speak the truth. But I never gave him any money. I never told him to go on the show. In fact, I actually told him not to because of the attacks he would get. So I just wanted to put to rest because I was off of Twitter. Like, it was when some things were happening with my job, my last job, that I was on, so I wasn't really there to defend myself a lot about this. And it was just really frustrating hearing the insanity that, oh, this is like 5150 cooked up this scheme to go after Ray, all because Ray supports Aiden. And that's another thing. Like, no, my issues with Ray have nothing to do with like me. There are plenty of the turtle cult that I have no issue with. Like, they support him, whatever. Talk crap on me. I don't care. I mean, his show is dedicated to me. They're like 10 alone with my picture with some crappy AI done by Amy about me. Like, those are I have my issues with him totally outside of supporting. Go ahead, support him. Like, to keep throwing your money at a total lost cause, like, that's going down the drain. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Good for you. And it's just the way that like the whole thing was handled too. Like, I mean, you could tell, like, I don't know, it's my opinion, Alex was being honest when he was opening up about it that night on the show. Just the disgusting way all the others were like making fun of him, sexualizing him. It's just another time. I've never been so embarrassed to have ever been associated with Turtle Boy or anything, like associated, like shaming a victim like that. And it's just, and then you have somebody who they're now championing, who literally went on her Twitter for 2 years and said, falsely accused somebody of rape. And she's being celebrated by Ray, who's claiming that he's being falsely accused of it. Like, it's just, make sense. It's just scary how people, like, the people are involved in this have no independent critical thinking skills, and just, it's either they're smart and they just know they're ignoring like facts and just following whatever is said and just don't care, or they really are just that stupid. And again, makes me so thankful not to be involved with any of them.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, after listening to the horrible things that Ray from Dallas has said about you, and I mean, you're
You too. I
me,
mean,
me,
he's gone
me,
after
me as well. Yes,
just women in general. And
yes,
it's like, again, is there this whole thing that, oh, doxing is so evil and stuff? It's like, is it I don't know, is it a constitutional right that you should get to say horrible things and get to do it anonymously? I don't know, do it with your real name, and then
yeah.
maybe you'll think more about the words you're putting out there. I don't know.
I agree. I mean, that extends to some of the other areas that we've been talking about today, which is just the online trolling. I mean, look, I say I talk some shit too in reaction to things that have been thrown my way, but people know who I am. You know, I'm not hiding behind a sock account, and I just find that his words have really offended me. I'm offended for you and others, women in general, to hear anyone talk online that way. I think it's just really disturbing language. Does that mean anyone who speaks that way is capable of committing what I consider to be like the most atrocious act imaginable, meaning PDF? I don't necessarily believe that. I just think he's not a good person at an absolute minimum. And I was actually really happily surprised that by, in the whole, I don't know what it is, copyright striking process, his true identity had been revealed, because it is helpful to pull back the mask when there's people behaving badly and they're doing it not with their full chest and they're hiding behind a fake account or a fake name, etc. It's funny. Ray from Dallas was nowhere in, frankly, in the Karen Reed trial 1 or in the Karen Reed trial 2. He became very prominent in the fall of 2025 post verdict. And, coincidentally, around when all of the shit was starting to uptick in the community. I find that notable. And I find it really hypocritical that those who criticize me and others for where was she for trial 1 or she only came around for trial 2, they don't throw the same criticism, and never did throw it Ray from Dallas's way. But I think he's a troubled human at an absolute minimum for talking about you, me, or other people in the way in which he has. And I just feel that also it's my observation that all the people who embraced him as really just, oh, he didn't do this, he could have never done this. How do you know? Have you met him? And just to be clear, in case it wasn't clear, what I have read, what I'm seeing being posted about and talked about is the fact that it allegedly wasn't just Ray from Dallas, whose name I'm not specifically indicating here, but it wasn't just Ray from Dallas who's being alleged to have committed these atrocious acts, it was his brother as well. So let law enforcement work it out, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. And then like, I mean, nothing is ever enough either. Then he did a polygraph test. Then it's, oh, it's a conspiracy. It's a fake guy who isn't really a polygraph. It's just nothing you could ever tell them is gonna like. It's just they don't think with logic. But and let's be realistic about the whole the quote unquote doxing. If the roles were reversed and there was some YouTuber under an anonymous name saying these things, say it was okay, they were instead of me or somebody else, they're talking about Jess Machado and shoving a dick down her throat and calling her a whore, making streams about her for 10 months. And one of them was handed their identity and then they decided to out them, like they would be a hero. They wouldn't be called, oh, she's so evil for doxing him. Like, no, if the rules are reversed, let's be
Right.
real. They would get a blog written about them. So like just the hypocrisy. Just
Yeah. Like go back to the theme, that theme of hypocrisy. You're absolutely right. And I don't understand how there's just this blind faith, I guess is the best term, blind faith that he didn't do it. Okay. Why? Why is there blind faith? Have you ever met him? If I'm assuming none of you people have met him. I haven't met him. I don't know if he did it. I simply know that any victim who comes forward should obviously be believed unless and until, law enforcement doesn't want to pursue it and or there is substantial legitimate reason beyond a criminal background to presume that he is not being trustworthy. So I just encourage people to use a critical eye on this. It's not the fact that PDF at all entered this conversation, the fact that having a cancer enter this conversation, the fact that Aiden Carney said in the battle between cancer and you, I hope cancer wins against a woman who, by the way, is the woman who spoke up about her experience, albeit limited in nature, with Alex. And she then presented for conversation to Aiden her observations. And suddenly that has now since devolved into I hope cancer wins, coming from a man whose own mother, my understanding is, passed away from cancer. My mother passed away from cancer. Cancer runs in my both lines of my family and and beyond. So I would simply say, like, that's just shitty behavior. It's just shitty behavior. The fact that those types of things have entered this equation altogether are bothersome. A couple last points I have on uh, Ray from Dallas and or Alex. Again, I've made my position very clear. One is I know I was even challenged online. Oh, look, Nan is saying he's a hero and she hasn't donated to Alex's fund after he was kicked out of his home based on, whatever the technicalities were as to his criminal background and the residence in which he was living in with his either wife or baby's mother, etc. I did donate to his cause. I donate to causes that I believe in, and I had done so by Venmo, and I posted a screenshot of that, which was done before that issue was ever challenged. So anyone who doubts that, please look back at my posts. In addition, the attorney, Amy Malia,
oh my God.
yeah, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. She goes by #Amy, also known as Mo_Esquire on X. I will simply say the following things. Amy Malia, #Amy Mo Esquire, I'm using those interchangeably, has taken, fingers to keyboard and sent out to print letters of cease and desist or notices of anticipated litigation to several individuals, indicating that she and her firm, let me insert an asterisk there, represent Ray from Dallas. And there's anticipated litigation for defamation, et cetera. And she wanted cease and desist letters or notices to preserve evidence sent out and sent these out. I never received one, just to be clear. but other individuals who were involved in the revelation of the allegations have, at least some of them. I'm not 100% sure it was all of them, but I believe it was most of them did receive such a letter. I believe you received a letter, etc. I don't represent any of you. I practice law in the jurisdictions in which I'm licensed. It does appear to me, as a lawyer of 25 years, that Ms. Melia is not licensed in Texas, which is where Ray from Dallas resides, which is where Alex resides, which is where I believe Ray from Dallas's brother, who's the other, at least alleged aggressor, by virtue of that polygraph test results, where he resides. She is not licensed upon information and belief in Massachusetts, which is where some of the individuals who received said letters reside. She is not licensed in Georgia, which is where recipient of one of the letters resides. As my understanding, that she is licensed in Florida, which is where none of the parties or involved interested parties reside. I can simply say that that is really not proper. I've pointed it out various times. She's not licensed in these states, but yet sending letters on Florida letterhead to these individuals. The office at which she worked until April 7th, 2026. My understanding is that she was discharged from employment, as was communicated to me. That firm that she was discharged from does not have, if I believe I'm accurate, does not have offices in Florida. She's not, in Texas. She's not licensed there. So I don't necessarily agree with the professional manner in which that representation has been invoked. I have made that very clear to that law firm that no longer employs her. They have asked me to submit material to them to substantiate what has gone on. And I have done so as a professional being asked to do so. So I have submitted that at their request. I have also submitted confirmation of the confirmation, excuse me, hold on, another call is coming in on another phone. I'm not going to answer that. I have also submitted confirmation of the limited, very limited emails that were sent to me by Ms. Melia. She has vastly overstated how many emails she sent to my office that she claims I ignored. There was one email that she has been able to produce to me from February 12th, 2026, claiming that I sent this to you, you never responded. I did not receive it. I do not have any record of having received it. I can only say I respond to emails that are sent to me, and that is an indicator that I never received it. I've checked spam. I don't have it. But the email that she sent to me in February and the email, a rather aggressive, multiple set of emails she sent to me 2 Saturdays ago from her Gmail account, they essentially, and I'm providing the tone of them, are saying, like, are you representing these individuals? Do you represent Alex? Do you represent any of the other individuals who broadcast these allegations? And I have confirmed to her as of 2 Saturdays ago that I do not represent those individuals. And I indicated to her, just as I revealed today, which is I have paid for, as a sponsorship, the cost of that polygraph by a reputable certified polygraphy company, a certified polygrapher, and that is all that I have done. That is the extent of my involvement, other than upon receipt of that report, I forwarded it to the alleged victim. So that is the extent of that. I would also say that anyone can scroll her Twitter feed and draw their own conclusion, other than I will simply say that it appears to me she's quite obsessed with insulting me, maligning me, etc., none of which I care about. But I would simply say I think she's got a real problem. My AirPods are going to die soon. I have another set. Can you still hear me? Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I can simply say she does appear to be quite obsessed with me and insulting me. And I can only encourage her to go touch some grass, especially if she's out of work. She might want to also try to find other gainful employment in jurisdictions in which she's licensed. But you know what? That's just advice from a more seasoned practitioner than she by multiple years. I would also add that on the evening that I was confronted by these issues she has with me during a Spaces 2 Saturdays ago, very aggressively under a name of a new sock account she created to try to go at me during that Spaces. After that Spaces, she left two, what in my opinion were incredibly intoxicated or impaired voicemails for me at my law firm. She, as an aside, had said during that Spaces, I called you multiple times. You never called me back. Just to be clear, every single call at my law firm is tracked, every single one. We even have software installed that will dig deeper if there's blocked numbers and the like. There's also law enforcement that's currently monitoring my law firm for reasons I will not discuss. So
calls, those voicemails were absolutely deranged.
They were.
I mean, if there was any, I think probably the video of her on JFK, like going like motorboat like crazy. If there's any doubt in my mind that there's a substance abuse issue there, it's my opinion that she has severe substance abuse issues and mental health issues, like a lot of the people involved in this movement. So, I mean, that the voicemails though, those were over the top.
Absolutely. These voicemails, which honestly, I might post them at some point.
You should.
I might. They're comical. They were late night on a Saturday, and they were. I mean, it's kind of objectively findable that like she was clearly impaired when she left them, and I don't find that very professional. But I did pass that information along to the firm that discharged her, and I'll leave it at that. And then that's all I have to say about Ray from Dallas. Amy Melia, his attorney, who is not licensed in the state in which he resides or the victim resides. And really, the only other thing I was going to talk about Aiden, but I've kind of peppered him in throughout. I think that's everything I'd like to discuss. I mean, I really don't want to make a series of this, and I really don't want to say more than other than I see that I'm looking now. I'm looking at just a small amount of there's requests that are pending to speak. I had indicated earlier this is not going to be an opportunity for people whom I don't know and or I know and don't respect to come at me and or to raise questions to me. That's I was fair game 2 weeks ago, folks, but this is my space and I get to choose the manner in which it's presented and the discussion is held. And frankly, it's been a beautiful surprise that Meredith, you've been very helpful to me in filling in some blanks and with the technology of it all. But I do like see there's other, like for example, I see Jason Broyles. There's a request pending. I know Jason. I would simply let him up, but I can tell anyone.
I see some of the others. I don't know who some of these are. I mean, Kazi G has been for all 4 hours or however long he's been going requesting, and I've
it's not going to happen.
He keeps requesting. I mean, we know why is he so obsessed with you? I missed there was like a space he wanted to talk to you or something. It's like you can do that. You can talk to Trash Man on your own like spaces, or you can go on Sparklies and do that. Like there's enough venues for that. Like you can do that elsewhere. Hello?
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I had to switch AirPods. First of all, Kazi, sorry to disappoint. I'm not allowing any negativity to come up here, but I did want to mention him for a minute. And I certainly would let some other individuals, like if you mention who they are, to let them up. But I'm going to say that a few things right now. One, I'm going to keep it very limited because I've actually gone longer than I thought I ever would. Two, Kazi, I was there on that spaces. I did not limit you in any way. I gave you direct answers and respectful answers and due deference to the questions that you asked me. I in no way limited you, muted you, kicked you off, or anything. There actually were tech difficulties during that particular spaces. I was experiencing them myself as I was learning how to manage Wi-Fi, et cetera, also during that spaces. But I did want you to know that I'm not going to be talking to you today. I've given you endless content as well as others. But I simply would say if you think that coming at me based on information that you think you know, none of which you know firsthand, all of which I know firsthand, you can go fuck all the way off. You can go suck a whole bag of dicks. You also, if, gentle word of advice, I think it's strongly encouraged if you're going to want to grow in the YouTube sphere as a of you who take that opportunity, to people who are simulcasting it with nefarious goals, to people who are going to stream this later or talk shit.
Oh, there's going to be so much content from this. I
There
almost
you
stopped
go.
Jason because he was saying, "Oh, you have 498 people listening." Like then we also have another 1,000 or so from the Grifter Gently Challenge who's streaming this simultaneously, and then this is gonna. I mean, like then Jess will do an emergency space about this, and Val will have an emergency space, and this is like Marie will have like her cringe dancing YouTube about this. I mean, this is gonna generate content for them for
Right. Well,
for
hey,
days.
guys, don't say I didn't give you anything. And I know that the Young Jerks is streaming it, and he had asked, and I had said sure. And I know that Untwisted Tragedies is streaming it, and she had asked, and I said sure. But I simply would say, and by the way, because I communicate with Elise, I want to say this: I don't have Turtle Boy derangement syndrome, as I was saying last night on Mike of the Young Jerks stream. Like, I've gotten an opportunity to get to know Elise. She's been a very dear friend to me. She has shown me empathy. She's asked for nothing from me. She's been a good listener and a touchstone for me. We diametrically disagree on what caused the death of Officer John O'Keefe. Many people in her chat disagree with me on who killed Officer John O'Keefe, but I don't engage in that with her. And I simply enjoy her as a person. And that's my experience. And anyone who says, well, if you go with her, you like her, then you can't possibly support her like me. That's just bullshit. I disagree with it. And I go on my own experience. So I don't know if there's anyone else who I'm really not good at looking at this stuff, but if anyone else wants to speak,
Oh, it looks like she actually did request to speak if you want me to let her on. And then there's one other account called Cartwright that I actually recognize as and I'm not sure what they want to say, but they're typically nice, positive, friendly account. I don't know what they want to talk about, but
happy to have Untwisted Tragedies speak. I don't think I have any experience with Cartwright. But I'll tell you right now, Cartwright, based on my lack of experience with you, if I let you up to speak and you start talking shit, you're getting kicked out or muted right away.
Yeah, we can easily do that. I do recognize the account. I know I had followed them before.
Okay.
Let me see if I don't even see it anymore. Maybe they had accidentally requested. Actually, wait. Yeah, no, I don't think, I think maybe they pressed it accidentally. I don't see any more requests.
Okay. Thank you.
Just me then, I guess.
Just you. Wait, what are you? Marlboro Lights breath, or what do they call you?
I have no idea, because when I smoked Newports, so they're fucking retarded. I smoked Newports. Never smoked a Marlboro a day in my life.
How are you?
Good, guy. How are you guys? Amazing job, as
Thank
usual. And I just want to say, screw the clowns. We know who they are. They all stuff into one ridiculous clown car. It's what they do. They have no content. Therefore, we are their content. And it says more about them than it does about us.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and I'm doing well. I feel great after providing my version of events, giving people context. I don't care if people malign me, disagree with me, try to say X, Y, or Z, or to clip this, to spin it. But I would simply say to you, Elise, thank you, for the opportunity to get to know you as a person. Aww. And for just respecting, I respect the fact that we can disagree on, the thing that brought me into this community. And honestly, I've privately had apologized to you for things that I had said to you. But I would like to take the opportunity publicly to say, I thought it was right at the time, back months ago, to smack back at you, because that's what my community was kind of encouraging my mind to do.
Of course. I mean, that's what they do.
Yeah, so I want to apologize to you because you've been really good at listening and giving me advice and guidance. And, just it shows me, it gives me some hope that there's other people out there who will just use a more discerning eye when drawing judgments about people. I hope that more people will be better humans, including myself, moving forward.
Nobody's a perfect human. Nobody's a perfect human. No one is a perfect human. And I, obviously give plenty of grace, because it's one thing when you're in it. It's another when you're standing outside of it. And when you're standing outside of that shit show of a cult, you're like, dear God, why did I not realize everything that I can see clearly right now in front of me? And
Yes.
it's not that easy to see it when you're actively being brainwashed, when you're actively have somebody just repeating constantly over and over and over and over something to you. Like that's the way that it works. Scientifically, that's the way that cults work. And I have helped people on both sides of the aisle. I've talked to people on both sides of the aisle. I don't think that I've ever had to reblock someone that asked me to unblock them. And that speaks volumes. And I do encourage people, even trolls that pop in my chat, like, go have a conversation with someone yourself. Don't take someone else's opinion of that person. Go talk to them yourself and see. Then, after you talk to them like a grown adult, then you take your own opinion, not someone else's.
I completely agree. And also I think that it's opened my eyes just to become more empathetic to all people. And like I've said a few times during this spaces, I'm not sitting here lily white without, any fault of my own. I talk shit. If you talk shit about people, it comes back, but it's been reactive on my part. And maybe not specific people who go at me once and then I overreact to them. I mean, that happens too, but it's really been more of an entire experience for me. I feel that this has been cathartic for me, but I don't care if anyone's going to come at me hereafter. And I would simply say, as far as Aiden is concerned, because I know you have your own experience with him, it isn't my experience with him. My experience is limited. I wish that it was favorable in more recent months. And this is actually making me think of one other thing I wanted to mention as to him, which was one last thing I did want to say. I was really proud of the donations that I gave you. I donated handsomely to your defense fund. I believe in much of what you have done and are facing, Aiden, and that's the truth. I would not have otherwise donated to you. When I made my first donation, it was because another lawyer in Texas had donated 1 hour's billable time, and that is what I did. And I did not beg to go on your show. I know I said this on Nina's show, but I want on Nina's Spaces, but I want to say this here. So, because I forgot to say it here for those who didn't hear the prior spaces, I donated at the time my prior 1 hour billable time, which at the time was $500, to your cause back in January of 2025 because another lawyer had done it. I made that donation without any expectation. When I did it, and I've seen it spun thereafter, I did it because I believed in what you were fighting for. And I still do believe in some of what you're fighting for. I think you may have some legal challenges as to some of the charges you're facing. But with that said, Aiden, the only reason I had mentioned thereafter that I'd be happy to come on a show was because I had communicated, Jennifer Altman had reached out to me after I made that donation and you highlighted it and you said, you called up my website and said, hey, she's a good looking girl and I'd love to have you on the show sometime or something like that. Jennifer Altman reached out to me and asked if I would be interested in coming on a show. And I said, sure. And then I had made a couple comments thereafter publicly, whether it was on X or in a chat. I don't remember, where I said, yeah, I'd be happy to come on your show. Aiden and I later had a conversation on the evening of March 4th, 2025 at the Hillside Bar, in which we both agreed that, his show is better without guests. I actually like his shows better when I used to watch them when he would not have guests on them. And we both discussed it. He's since said that we discussed that. But I wasn't itching to become a prominent guest on his show. And he knows we discussed that. That evening, we also discussed his pretty strong opinion that, why do you give money to YouTube creators? YouTube takes 30%. They should create their own like turtle chat platforms. That way they can keep the bulk of the money. And I said, I don't care. And he made this comment multiple times in front of Will at the Hillside. And he was strongly encouraging Will, develop your own turtle chat program platform so you can take more in, not just 70% of any donations. And, Will, in his baked glaze, just completely went over his head. He's like, no, dude, I'm fine. It's good. But the point is, by the way, if at any point in time, and it's not going to be this spaces, don't get me rolling on my own impersonations of people, because I can rival LTL any day. That's a throwdown. Brian, that is a throwdown. I give really good impersonations of people. But Will was too intellectually daunted by the whole concept of creating his own turtle chat platform. But Aiden really cared. He really cared that, I was making donations and YouTube was going to take 30%. So with all of that said, I know I've derailed your time to speak, Elise. I want to thank you for your friendship. My name is Nan Gallagher. I do not suffer from turtle boy derangement syndrome.
That's okay. He suffers from turtle boy tanty syndrome. He has lots of little tantrums, turtle boy tanty syndrome. So no worries about that. But I mean, even my own chat, because they want me to correct you, I actually have a very 50-50 healthy mix of free Karen readers and anti-free Karen readers, because I can respect that they don't agree with me. I don't have to shit on them because they don't agree with me. As long as they're respectful to me, I'm respectful to them. I give out what someone puts into my orbit, right? I don't just shit on people for funsies, right? My name's not Turtle Tanty. We don't do that over here. The only person my thing is, like, I've helped a lot of his victims, and if I were to just give up tomorrow and stop covering anything that has to do with him, there aren't that many other voices for them, even the ones who have been bullied into not speaking, the ones who have been harassed into not speaking, the ones who have been threatened into not speaking. And I refuse to just go away, because who else is going to be their voice? Who else is going to speak for them if they can't speak for themselves, And so the turtle riders might not like it. I don't give an actual fuck. And to be honest, I think one of the things that really pisses off a lot of the turtle TNT riders is that Aiden has no control over me. None, zero. And I just want the cultists to know you can take that control back. You allow him to have that control over you. If you're feeling fear about not agreeing with someone or saying something he's not going to like, or leaving and him trashing you, if you have fear about that, that's not normal. That's not normal. You should be able to leave a content creator and go somewhere else or move on with your life, and nothing is ever said, because we're grown-ass adults. That's how shit usually works. If you have fear, that's a problem. And you should probably know that your brain is ringing the alarm bell. It's ringing the alarm bell for you to get away safely. And it's unfortunate, because there's so many people who have gotten away, but they've had to deal with the consequences of just stepping away from him, just not agreeing with him on something or everything. And it's childish. Right? We're dealing with a grown-ass man who's like a child. But I fully believe that even the harassment that you had to deal with, some of these people, it comes from the hate that he spreads. It comes from the anger and the hate that he pushes out. And those people think they need to please him. And so if he's got a problem with someone, or one of his buddies has a problem with someone, well, it's all hands on deck. And you have, Ethelbach Truck Machado and Willie the Marlboro Cowboy and all these people running around like lunatics, just literally talking about the exact same thing Aiden talked about 3 hours ago because, well, I mean, they have to play off of his cult and the cult's money. That's how it works,
Yeah. And then, and not being a creator, and not having my own monetary struggles or aspirations, I understand why people have a desire to maximize income, and to protect their income. But one thing I can say about myself is that I don't compromise my principles for income. And I know that you and others
Either.
don't either. And I admire that. And when people make choices and lie about things that may seem inconsequential to them, but actually do impugn the credibility of others, all for the sake of clicks and views and subscribers and watch hours and all of that, and monetization, and ad revenue and the like, all of which I really don't know about or have any desire to know about. I simply say at the end of the day and at the end of life, that's the kind of stuff that won't matter. What does matter is just not being a bad person, just be a better human. Like, I get it. You guys think I'm washed up, I'm old, I'm wrinkly, I dress like a prostitute, you don't like my lipstick, you think I wear a wig, all of that. You think all of the things, and that's just a small list of them.
Well, I have you beat. I used to be a stripper, and Aiden's very mad about that. Okay, he's very upset about this.
Yeah, but
Something, it's Cam. I'm just. I know. I just want to make a brief statement. Everyone knows I like to talk a lot, but I got to say, this Spaces has left me speechless.
Aw.
I'm in awe here. I just. You both are both beautiful, Nan and Meredith.
Thank you.
But Nan, your honesty and genuineness of this Spaces has been absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
And everyone knows my last name is Monist. That we all know I've got bullied and called Monistat and all that from Mr. Machado. But honesty was drilled into me since I was a young child, because when I'd go to kindergarten, the boys would tease and say monast, try to make it sound like an ass. So I honestly have had the word honesty drilled into my head. And today, I mean, girl, you win. This has just been so enlightening, positive. I'm speechless, which everybody knows that's rare. So I'm gonna go.
Thank you,
I
Cam.
love you both. I love you both. And what I'm gonna say to everybody on here, and especially to Meredith and you, Nan, remember this: the best is yet to come.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank
I
you.
appreciate that, Cam.
Thank you.
All right,
Nan,
bye,
I know,
guys.
Nan, I know you need to end this soon, but I just want to make sure I have a chance to announce some breaking news. Disgraced lawyer Amy Amelia, hashtag Amy on Twitter, Mo Esquire, is announcing she's suing you. She's made some drunken tweets at approximately 5:26 p.m. that she is suing you.
Okay.
Breaking news. That's it.
Thank
Oh
you.
my God.
Well, as I've said, there's maybe I didn't say it, but a defense to what I presume is defamation. And by the way, anyone should download if someone can please download an archive of her Twitter for me. I appreciate that, but
It's already done. So it's already on the Wayback Machine. So there's nothing she can delete that we can't pull.
Thank you, but also appreciate that. But also, in addition to that, like a defense to defamation is
It doesn't
truth.
always save it. If people delete them like pretty soon, it doesn't always save it. But I screenshotted it all.
Thank
to make
you.
sure.
And
Had
and
an afternoon drinking day. I'm guessing, just by the volume of the tweets.
Absolutely, dude. That's the funniest thing I've heard all day.
And that also, and I do have to go because my daughter will be home soon, but I did want to also mention one point that occurred to me as to Kazi, which is what I had indicated when he felt that he didn't get enough opportunity to freely speak with me 2 weeks ago. In a tweet, I said to him, you can certainly feel free to call me at any time. Your friends have my number and you have not called me. So if you'd like to call me and have a conversation and have your questions answered, which I presume is because you have a burning curiosity to know the answers to your questions, then you can call me. But if you're looking to have a public bully session, which is really a la Will the Glairer, public petty bullying for clicks and views and likes, that's not what you're going to get from me. So if you'd like your answers firsthand from me, you can give me a call, Kazi.
I got a text from a good source. They said Kazi is only requesting because the house hours are going into quiet hours soon, and he's got to quiet down.
I don't even know what that means, but I would simply say, he wanted.
That means he's limited. That means they take their phones at a certain time, or they're not allowed to talk at a certain time because they're under a restriction.
Oh, I got you. So I would simply say, Kazi, I think I've answered your questions already, but I'm not going to be a punching bag for you. So you can get in the good graces of people who choose to bully others for sport. And you can call me at any time and I'll speak with you and have a human to human phone call. I'll even let you pet your cat while you do it. But to anyone else who perhaps wanted to speak and was not either permitted to, or my time constraints did not allow you to, I can tell you I have about 5 minutes left and I'm going to have to impose a hard stop because I don't want my child listening to this type of conversation. So is anyone else? I see that, I don't know. I think we're good. So
Yeah, I mean, the comments, there haven't been too many crazy ones. There's one person who I recognize the account because I was told she was on a space, one of Sparkly Rabbit's classy spaces, saying she lives a few blocks from me and is like hoping to run into me. I don't know if she really lives in Southie. I doubt it. Taking a quick look at her profile, it's like Mish something.
Oh, yes.
Life 79. She's been going hard in the comments. That's really the only one who's been obnoxious that I see.
the only
She made a comment earlier and then she deleted. She was like, Nan, are you gonna call out Meredith for posting a photo of an infant giving a blowjob? And I was like, what in the world are you even talking about? I don't think I've ever been accused of that, let alone done anything.
What?
She deleted the comment, but she's out of her mind.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because a couple points, I don't know her, but I did hear her on a spaces recently saying, that she lives just blocks from you. And I didn't know how to take that. I certainly didn't take it as a threat. Otherwise I would have warned you.
But I take it as pull up, bitch. Like I'm looking at her. I'm not afraid. I mean,
cool story, bro. Do you want to live a couple blocks from me too?
But also what I would mention to you is, as far as that made me think of one last point, which is this. There has come this phase in all of this where there's been an expectation, as I mentioned, you're either with them or with us. If you support them, you don't support us. Will you condemn this type of behavior? Will you denounce that type of behavior? I know you wouldn't have posted such a graphic picture that
no.
woman is
Then
okay,
there's
but
this other one. Like, why is Meredith allowing the negativity towards Kazi's cat? When did anybody say anything bad about his cat? I would never.
Nan said he could pet him. What's the problem?
I said he could pet his cat. I said earlier he can pet his pussy, another affectionate name for a cat. I'm not a cat lover, but I respect cat lovers and I respect cats. But free Kazi's cat, I guess, would be the new hashtag moving forward.
Hashtag free Kazi's cat, everyone.
But thank you to everyone who listened, and I appreciate your time, whether you did it for salacious reasons or to get the full answer to many things. I did not touch upon everything. There's things I won't discuss. There's things I've forgotten to discuss, and there's things that I cannot discuss. But with that said, I will simply announce to you that moving forward, I actually am kicking around an idea of occasionally hosting a spaces where I talk about some true crime cases and or mysteries that have never been solved or cold cases not for any money, just to have conversation from a legal standpoint on issues. True crime interests me. And if anyone has any interest in listening to that stuff moving forward, then maybe you'll see a space or two from me moving forward. So I wish you all a very happy Saturday evening, and apparently a robust amount of content from all the negative haters out there. But I'm not going anywhere. And I thank you all for your time today. And by the way, keep showing up.